All right, we should be good. All right, let me look at it. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Shalom.
I'm there, but I don't see nothing.
Like it's popping in.
No. All right, we are back, part 2. I apologize for that. The devil is busy, but it's okay. We're right back in. Elder Lawya, I need you to go back to 2 Kings where we were in 17 real quick.
Yes, sir.
Right? Real quick. The structure of a kingdom. Let's jump right in. All right. Thank you for coming on in. Y'all know, hit the like button again. Part 2. All right. Let's get it real quick. All right. You don't want to miss this, though. What we're showing you is the real worships, the true worships that require child sacrifice in the Bible, right? Finish reading it real quick where it says they sacrificed their children to Adrimelech. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. 2 Kings 17, verse number 31.
Yes.
And the Avites made Nibhas and Tartak, and the Sepharavites burnt their children in fire to Adrimelech and Animelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they feared the Lord, and made unto themselves of the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrificed for them in the houses of the high places. They feared the Lord, and served their own gods, after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence.
Now let's go. Now let's also prove. Let's go to Leviticus now, where it goes into. Let's go to Leviticus 18 and 21 to show you that this was a practice when it comes to child sacrifice. This was a practice for those priests and nations who served Satan, the Canaanite god. Well, guess what, folks? The religious structure that's set up right now, the political structure, are really set up as what you would call an ancient Babylonian priesthood. This is why when you go in Washington, D.C., there's a lot of esoteric buildings. When you go into what you would call Freemason structures, there's esoteric buildings. When you go into China, when you go into England, when you go into the Middle East, when you go into mosques, folks, these are ancient priests and priestesses temples. So this is why children go missing every year in these societies, especially in America. You would think in a free country, as rich and powerful this country is, that it would be able to easily set up a system to protect children. One would think, if that was their intentions. But you have all these witch covens. What you don't know is that at the heart of all these so-called republics or governments is a priesthood that requires child sacrifice. Now, let's read this again. Let's go in Leviticus. Read it real quick.
Leviticus 18, verse 21.
Read.
And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch.
So this is what the Gentiles do. But God said the children of Israel, our people, are not supposed to allow this. This is what they do. But you're not supposed to allow this, folks. Okay? Let me tell you, it was second nature in Greece and in Rome for a grown man who deal with the alternative lifestyle, or a grown woman, if they had enough resources, to go to a market to buy a little girl or to buy a boy. That was just like picking out an onion at a supermarket in Greece and in Rome. See, but we don't have a society like that now, where they can freely go and just go to a market. Even in slavery, when they brought us over here in slavery, they severed out a number of children who were molested and all that by slave keepers who were gay. And they would sell strictly temperate children on the slave market for those who were gay. But you're not going to have a society like that initially if it was built on values. You can't just upright and say, well, listen, I need to come into your house and pay for your child and so that your child can be raped with these men and all that. That's not the type of society we live in. So they had to make a component that would allow the government to come in and have a reason for separating you from your child. And usually it's a dysfunction that society created within family. This is how they do it now. But back then, they had markets for this. They had markets for this. But now they use dysfunction, and CPS and social services and all that come in for your child. You have an abused woman because she grew up abused. And the first thing your social worker wants to know, and you don't know that your social worker and others are working for a high cabal that deal with child sacrifice. The first thing they want to know is how many children you have in the home. You going there to get some level of support for your abuse, when really they're focusing on the children they can separate from you. So let's read one more, Elder Lawya.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Leviticus 18, verse 21.
Yes.
And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch.
So we're not supposed to let our children pass through the seed to Moloch. The star of Moloch is the six-pointed star. So if you see that star, know that the six-pointed star has nothing to do with David. It's an emblem out there for those who are in the know, who deal with worships of Satan through the occult and paganism, that these particular religions, these particular societies has child sacrifice at the core of their establishment. That's a sign for those who can see. When you see that star, know that children are severed from society for Satan's priesthood in that society, in that community. That's a sign. So the Lord told us, like, that's what the Gentiles are doing. Israel, you're not to do that. So what did they do when we came over here? They began to put sinners as priests over our communities, over our churches, so that the dysfunction can happen within the priesthoods that was within our communities, like the Baptist church, putting in people like Eddie Long and all that who would mess up children so that they can be given to the elite for sacrifice. As a dysfunctional component that Satan can now use as an enemy against society. See? They don't want you to know about this. Come on.
Leviticus 18, verse 21.
Come on.
And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire
to Moloch.
Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord.
I am the Lord. Now let's go into Amos to show you the star of Moloch. So this star is not the star of David. When you see the six-pointed star, that's the star of the beast. So we're figuring this out now. We're starting to realize that, the powers that be, the established powers over religion and government, have lied to us all. And this is, folks, why they hate Christ, and this is why they hate the Bible. Okay? See, you need to know that they cannot continue what they do against us without their sacrifices that are required under their guide. Be like, listen, you can do that to these other people if you want, but not to our children. We know what you're doing. We know you're not coming in our house because you care about the woman who was abused by that guy and all that. No, that's how you get in through your psychology. As if these so-called social workers, these white liberal men and women come in our communities, as if they really care about the poor women who suffer in our communities. No, they want your children. They're all a part of the satanic cabal of sacrifice. They go to witch covens. A lot of them were abused and grew up broken themselves. So we're figuring this out now. So it's like, well, okay, let's shut everything down. Let's shut everything down now. Since we can't have the children, we're going to say, there's a bad cold out there and we're taking your children. Now let's get the one in Amos.
Yes, sir. Amos 5:25.
Come on.
Have ye offered unto me sacrifice and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel?
O house of Israel, read.
But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch.
So he says, I delivered you from Egypt. And what do you do, Israel? He's speaking to our forefathers. That's right. This is our Bible. This Bible belongs to us. We're the children of Israel. He says, listen, I saved you from the hand of the Egyptian, from the hard tyranny and the slavery and the captivity you suffered there. I saved you. And what do you do? What do you do in return? You have borne your own star. What star is that? Read it, Elder Lawya.
But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch.
Of your Moloch.
And Chayun.
And Chayun.
Your images, the star of your God.
The star of your God. You have turned from me and you have turned to Satan. So I have no choice but to do what? Send you back into captivity like you were in Egypt. Because not only are you disobeying me, this is what our God told our forefathers, our priests. It's not that you're just disobeying me. The children are suffering through your disobedience. Now you're going to deliver your children over to Satan? You're going into captivity. This is why we went into slavery, folks. And you notice all the behaviors God told our forefathers to stay away from. All those things are glorified in our communities. Tats from head to toe is glorified. When that's doing what? That's actually painting yourself and giving yourself to the gods. It tell you about that. That's actually symbolism that you are a servant to Satan. Tatting yourself, making dead markings on your flesh to the gods. That's pagan. But yet, it's celebrated in our society. They'll give you a loan in the society to set up a tattoo parlor. They'll give you a reality show. But these are really rituals to Moloch. And your children are looking at this as normal. Mm-hmm. So your children want to grow up. If your father and mother is in a tattoo parlor, hey, that's just something we do growing up. Mm-hmm. And you make dysfunction normal. I don't know if that's possible. But we're normalizing dysfunction. But the Bible highlights all these behaviors as what? Child sacrifice. Because through symbolism, when you tat yourself, when you're marking yourself, you have to realize how you're being seen from the invisible. You're opening a door. A fallen demon know that they can gain entry. That's your communication with the unseen, these markings. And the dysfunction continue on. And our children get raped, molested. Broken homes happen. And then families start raising the children. And then things happen. Now Satan have more young children to use as enemies against the next generation. That's what we're talking about tonight. The structure of a kingdom. We have to talk about what a structure of the kingdom is, because this structure has been broke since its inception. This isn't a structure. This is Satan's world. So you have to understand that we were born into a religious cult called Babylon. And now what we must do, we must now stand with a value, a moral code, a righteous code to fight against the immoral and the wickedness. Our children need us to stand with them and stand for them. And I'm going to go there in a moment. But before I go there, Elder Lawya, because I know you have something, right? Mm-hmm. I said I was going to take a few phone calls. Let me do that in respect of those that are on Blog Talk real quick. I don't want them to say that, they're on every week and no one is bringing them in, because there's a lot I want to unpack. I'm going to be, believe it or not, I'm going to segue this into Saturday anyway. But I need you all to really understand that none of us really in America, especially our forefathers growing up in America, knew what you would call a righteous traditional family according to God was. Because why? That was never allowed over here. Even when we loved God and served God and sang to God growing up in captivity, we were still subjected to the sin that came through our disobedience that was always funded by our slave masters. So what we thought was good was evil. Okay? No sooner as we came over into slavery, they would have a full trough of pigs and all that. We thought that it was just food. But our consumption of poison is disobedience to God. And because we have that soul, we would cook it up and make it taste good. But it was disobedience to God. And it was celebrated and incentivized by our masters. So even the things we thought was good because we had to make do with what we had, it was still sin against the Almighty. We've never known, we've been dysfunctional since we fell as God's people, folks. And it's time for us to own it. That's the only way we're going to get over this. That's why the Bible says, confess thy faults, tell the truth, so that we can be healed from this. We hide our dysfunctions, and Satan works in that dark pocket, folks. And who suffers? Our children, because they see the hypocrisy. They see it. They learn the wickedness. So even though we try to appear before others when we walk out our door as if we have it all together, our children see exactly who we are. And they learn bad behaviors because we won't fess up. We won't own up. And the devil now, what he does, eventually through your dysfunction, he gets your children, and that becomes child sacrifice according to the heavens. Okay? Let's get a call real quick. I'm going to take 2 calls. I need to jump right back in, then take 2 more. Let's go. 501 area code, the structure of a kingdom. Let's get this right. Let's first identify the devil so that we can protect our children from him and his ministers. And let me make this clear. I don't have nothing against any race personally. But we all, including our God, have a serious problem against any religion that requires the blood of children. Okay? And how they'll deceive us through psychology. Oh no, I'm here to protect a woman's right to choose. Give me the blood of that child. Moloch. Every abortion is a sacrifice to Adremelech. It's a sacrifice to Moloch, a sacrifice to Satan. They have normalized. How can you make that normal? The killing of innocent children. None of us can put 2 and 2 together. And they try to minimize it by saying, well, it's just a choice. Well, no, what you're not telling our people, our brothers and sisters in our neighborhoods, what they're not telling them is that this is a ritual.
That's right.
And the blood of that baby, the soul of that baby, stands before the throne, before the Father, begging the Father to make amends for its blood. A lot of you don't even know that. The blood of that child cries to the Father daily. But Satan requires it. He says, if I'm going down, they all are coming down with me. You love the children, God? That's what he's saying. You love the children? I'm coming after the children. Christ came for the children. I will target the children. 501. You're live. You're live.
Hello?
Hold on. You over there? Yes, you're live. Talk to us. You're live. Okay, let's go to the next one. 219 area code.
Hello? Can you hear me on the record? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Come on in.
I ain't right with the show.
Can you hear? I'm here.
Let me see if I can hear my stuff.
Did that happen already with 9/11?
Something is not right. So let me see.
One
Is
second.
that me on there?
Did you hear? I'm here.
Where's the audio?
I can't hear you on the record.
Right under appearance.
Okay.
I just hang up and try to call back.
Okay. My mic is working fine, so I don't know what your issue is. All right.
Which mic are you coming through? The computer?
Yeah. Computer, it's fine. I see it working, so I know it's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
254 area code. 254. Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. Hello?
One second.
Yeah. Yes, you're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Hello, Elder. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me, Elder?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yes, sir. Elder, my name is Herbert Daniel. I've been with the Gathering of Christ. Oh, wow.
Hey brother, we only got limited times. You gotta let it go. Let it flow.
Okay, Elder, I've been with the Gathering of Christ Church since 2010.
Brother, you gotta talk. If you don't talk, I'm going to the next call.
Try to go back to the one before. It's the same.
Okay. Yeah,
How's he hearing? Is he?
Hey brother, are you hearing me through the microphone or are you waiting to hear me through the broadcast? One second. One second. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, sir. I can hear you now, Elder.
Okay.
All right. I'm so sorry about that, Elder.
Brothers,
something's going on with the phone here.
Brother, let's flow. Let's flow. We have time. Go.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate you, Elder. Elder, I had just wanted to say, I always wanted to get in, but I never could get in. And I wanted to say, Elder, I've been baptized since 2010. And before that, my life was destroyed. And once I met the GOCC church, I began a new life. And I understand everything that's going on now. I don't fear anything. I had just went to see my cousin. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I went to go see my cousins in St. Louis. And when I went to hug them, they stood back. But yet I'm a barber, and they had the clippers set up to do their hair. I was like, that is like confusing. That's how confused people are about this whole thing. So you can't hug me, but you want me to cut your hair.
Hey.
You know, this is type of stuff we're going through, you know. But
well, brother, you can't make can't make sense of nonsense, but go on.
Right. And all I want to say, Elder, is that this church saved my life. I used to be on drugs, and I thought I had no hope. And once I met this church and I got baptized, my whole life turned around, and I have hope now. I see myself in the wilderness. I see myself, everything you say, brother, and I just love you guys so much. And I'm just really, really thankful to the Most High that I met this church, and my life goes on with hope. That's all I want to say.
Well, thank you, brother. And it's a privilege to be with you in the body. And hey, guess what? It's just the war just begun, brother. It's just begun. Ye that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So you in this war with us, just end with us, okay? Thank you, brother.
Appreciate that. And I want to thank Elder Lawya as well. And I love you guys.
Thank you, brother. We both here. We hear you. I appreciate you. Let's get the next call, and we appreciate all of you. 423 area code. Shalom, you're live. 423, you're live. Okay. 409 area code. 409 area code. Okay, I'm going to attempt to take one more call. If you're not there, we're jumping right back in, Elder Lawya, okay? Because there's a lot we need to unpack.
Yes, sir.
219 area code. 929 area code. 219 area code.
Hey, shalom, elders.
Shalom, you're live. Shalom.
Yeah, I just wanted to pass a quick idea to you guys, and I had a quick question. The idea was, can you guys make a T-shirt that says "We got next" on the front, and the back it said "Time's up." That was an idea I want to pass to you guys. But my question is, I think it's in the book of Tobit. It says, "All of my people of my race and our ancestral house of Naphtali sacrificed to the calf that King Jeroboam of Israel had erected in Dan and on all the mountains of Galilee." Is that saying that they had a lot of calves in different areas of mountains?
No, the sacrifice to the calf is exactly what you read in 2 Kings 17. Okay, wherever they set up a temple, they would worship the golden calf, which they would use for child sacrifice. Just like you have a church on every other corner or a Catholic church set up, that's what it means. In their temples, they would perform these rituals.
Oh, okay. In the mountains, though.
Yeah, wherever they would set up a church. If it was in a mountain, they would sacrifice a child at the temple at that mountain.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Elder. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Let's see here. 501 area code.
Oh.
Yes, 501. You're live.
Well, Yesterday they had my whole apartment quarantined for some reason. And I'm on a 14-day quarantine and can't go grocery shopping. Alana, they do it for me now. And they bought me some food I can't eat, so I just threw it away. And I know.
I got you, brothers. It was a 14-day quarantine. I got you. They're going to keep on saying quarantine. Like I mentioned earlier, they can say 14 days, they can say a year, they can say 2 years. The reality is, whoever fall victim to this stuff, fall victim to us because they're not listening. I'm not trying to be condescending out there, but you have to realize they put a lot of things out there in the news that's not even mandated. Mm-hmm. And because people are in fear, they believe they're following more what the news is saying outside of what law enforcement is actually saying.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay. Someone can tell you stay in your house a year. You're going to do it, or you're going to check with the authorities in your area or the sheriff in your area to see if this is something that's getting enforced or being enforced. So they're doing everything to do what? Put up a barrier so that you would fear going into places that are wide open for you to go into, or get on a flight that you thought didn't exist. So it's more so a deterrent tactic through media that makes you think you got to sit in some house for 14 days. Now, let me put this out there. What they're putting in place now is for the next thing that'll come subsequent to this. Because they're going to use contact tracing and putting all that in place. It has nothing to do with a disease. It has everything to do when the mark of the beast is on the scene. And now they're going to use drones to try to find those who would oppose this wicked system. Those who follow Christ and keep the commandments. That's what this grid is being set up for. Those who would deliver the children of Israel and the people who would follow to Zion. That's what the grid is being set up for. The majority of people that are just listening to everything they're saying and saying, well, okay, I got to sit and look at a wall for 14 days and all that. These are the people that's going to already be rolled over almost immediately. Okay? So check and verify. Check and verify. When I say that, just because they're saying this is what's on the news and they put it in the press, check and verify with your sheriff or your police apparatus in your community to see if this is what they're being told to enforce. Because the majority of people are imprisoning themselves through fear. Anything else, the lawyer, on that?
Yes, sir. Just going back to the point I was
that
you were making earlier, that this thing is built upon wickedness and evil and bloodshed, child sacrificing, witchcraft, sorcery. Okay, there's many documentaries and many history books you can go into showing that the so-called founding fathers were dealing with sorcery and witchcraft. Your so-called George Washingtons, your Ben Franklins, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, this scripture, I'm going to read this here. This scripture is Habakkuk 2:12. Now, this is dealing with the nation of Israel, but it also applies to this current society, this current civilization that we're dealing with. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. The reality is that, and as you were mentioning earlier, usually when people talk about solution, they talk about fixing the system, getting in contact with your politicians, getting in contact with your local officials. Now, those things will work to some degree. Those are like band-aids, where you may see some changes on a local level, state level, wherever the case may be. But you have to realize that the society, the civilization is rotten from the core. Okay, it was established on bloodshed and iniquity. So in order for this thing to be fixed, the Bible says what? You must destroy them which destroy the earth. This society or this civilization has been known for the destruction not only of the children of Israel, right? But also the whole earth is suffering under this current society that we're in. So this thing has to be wiped out completely, and we must start afresh. And it's not what they're talking about out there with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, so on and so forth, but Christ must be the one that comes and brings a whole new society with the whole new plan under the Most High to bring this thing, in righteousness. That's all I want to bring out.
Okay. Now I want to talk about the dysfunction, the ritualistic dysfunction that's within our society, because that's what it is. That's what it is. What I'm finding more and more is that there's more dysfunction that have been excused within our society than can be quantified. What we think is normal as a people, and I'm going to say us because we're the ones affected. Mm-hmm. What we have adjusted ourselves to believe is normal is serious sickness. And the Lord wants us to heal from this because the other nations aren't going to tell us this. They're going to abuse us. They're going to take advantage of our dysfunctions. And that's what we're witnessing right now. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, we're going to call him. Yeah, I got his number. Brother 501, I have your number. Matter of fact, write it down here. But we really don't have too much time to go into, the testimonies of everything people are doing out there under COVID. Like we can be on until 5, 6 in the morning. If someone say, well, this is what they're saying and this is what we're doing because of it. We're here for solutions and putting in a structure tonight that would give us the confidence to live above their co-op. Okay? To protect our children through their co-op. Not their co-op, excuse me, their psyop. Mm-hmm. That's a better word. Their psyop. Okay? Now, real quick, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Before I go into the family structure, there's one thing I wanted to show real quick. All right? Now, on your screen, speaking of child sacrifice, right? On your screen, and I wanted to highlight this because I really celebrated seeing this yesterday with this sister, Angela Stanton. Now, she's running for Congresswoman,
I believe so. Yep.
In Georgia right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, of course, she believed in her mind that she can get in the system to fix it. But through her innocence and what she's gone through, she don't really understand what she's up against. So, but I'm not going to go into that piece because they probably would never allow a woman with such values, especially a black woman, that can't be used for their liberal agenda up amongst the satanic cabal. So she's probably safe. They probably won't even let her in. Okay. But she's a Trump supporter, so I'm not going to go into the Trump part about this. But I'm going to more so go into and let you hear how this woman totally decimated these three on the Breakfast Club. And that gives me hope. Because every time we hear about a black woman, usually there's some negative connotation to it. And there's not enough congratulating and giving credit to a woman who's willing to stand up against all odds, especially a black woman who's not outright in front of the world downing black men. This is not her. Now, whoever set up these three on the bottom of your Breakfast Club, whoever set them up hates God. Let's make that clear. Let me just put that out there. Whoever put these three together knew exactly what they were doing. Oh, okay. These three on the bottom. But I need y'all to check out how this sister, Angela Stanton, decimated. I mean, these guys may be on an unemployment line getting a COVID check any day now after this interview.
If I can mention before you play it as well, I need brothers and sisters, please put on your critical thinking caps as you listen to this. As you mentioned, she's a Trump supporter, but ask yourself, should you negate the truth that she's going to bring forward because of who she supports? Or are you going to critically allow, just critically think and just examine the truth for what it is and, just let it come out?
And here's my question to this Elder Lawya. After hearing this sister, her every position is to fix the black family.
That's right.
Why isn't there support within the black community for this woman?
Right.
Answer this question, but I need you to hear this fatality you about to hear. Starting off with this Angela Yee woman. But let's hear it.
Support him if he hadn't pardoned you?
I've supported Trump before I got a pardon.
And why do you support Trump? What values do you see in Trump that make you a supporter?
I support his policies. He's the first president that's for pro-life. There are, nearly 60 million black babies that have been aborted since Roe v. Wade passed. And if we talk about Black Lives Matter, then we know that Black Lives Matter even in the womb. He also signed the most historic criminal justice reform that I had a part of. And we freed over 7,000 people from prison. 91% of them were black. He's also permanently funded HBCUs. He also lifted the federal ban that was against faith-based HBCUs. Before COVID hit, we had the lowest black unemployment. The fact that the man was willing to listen to someone like me and allow me to influence him to not only pass the First Step Act, but make it illegal for women to give birth in chains, I realized that this man is not the man that they're proclaiming him to be.
I don't have any problem with a person voting their interests. I saw a quote you said, I credit President Trump for being my inspiration. Before she became active in conservative politics, I was a lifelong Democrat just because, monkey see, monkey do. I was just doing everything that my family was doing. I guess we had all been duped. So what made you, get away from the Democratic Party?
Well, my own story, when I came home from prison, I was a convicted felon. I was a single mother. I had 4 children waiting for me. They gave me a $25 check and a bus ticket and said, here, go start your life over. Well, we had absolutely nowhere to go. I couldn't get the welfare that I'd been able to get before. I couldn't get any housing assistance. So I had to figure out how I was going to make it.
Listen.
I had a God-given gift, which was writing. So I wrote my life story. From there, I went on to being a national best-selling author and then starting my own publishing company. Not only that, the part about being a single mother, remembering when I was getting those benefits and how Section 8 said, as a single mother, we'll help you and your children, but the father can't live in a home. Or when I was receiving welfare, they'll say, okay, you'll get this certain amount of money at the beginning every month, but you can only make a certain amount. It wasn't until I was denied government benefits and nobody wanted to help me that I discovered my greatness. And so this road to entrepreneurship is how I eventually became free. And I know if we really want to be free as a people, we got to reduce poverty. Because once we reduce poverty, we reduce crime. We need more entrepreneurs. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Now, you would think they would congratulate her for saying, we as black people don't need handouts. Our issue is poverty. We just need to know how to get out of this poverty and we'll take care of ourselves. You would think these 3 on the bottom would sit there and say, sister, you know what? We will back you with everything in us. You have some answers for our people.
Check this out. You would think also they would congratulate her for her story. The story she just told
Yes.
of her coming out of prison, 4 children, 25, all that. You would think that an urban black radio show would congratulate that story.
Exactly. You know when they would have congratulated it? If she was a lesbian. Now, if she came out and said she was gay in the hospital, the narrative would be totally different, wouldn't it?
Or maybe if she was a stripper, maybe,
That's what I'm saying. I need y'all to check this out. And you sisters, you really need to see this. Because when you stand up and be a woman that the Most High intended you to be, here's the response by those who claim they're for you. Listen.
That as part of any party, though, or being an independent, you don't have to be a part of a party to do that, though, right?
Well, for me personally, I'm a conservative because I don't believe in handouts. I believe in hand ups. When we talk about the Democratic Party, it's a large focus on welfare, right? People only need welfare for a certain amount of time. We don't need to become lifelong welfare recipients. I'm also not.
Oh, we lost you. There we go.
I'm sorry. I'm also not a Democrat because of abortion. This is my thing. Roe v. Wade was passed off of a lie. As of right now, where we are, we're always crying about being an oppressed minority, but we are always going to be an oppressed minority if we continue to abort our offspring. Abortion is the biggest genocide against Black America. They strategically place their abortion clinics in our neighborhoods, and just about every time you hear a Democratic candidate go on stage, the first thing they say is Black women need access to abortion. So if we really want to restore the value to our own lives, if we really want to say,
right, though, a woman's right for abortion.
I
like,
just want to.
If a girl, like let's say a 16-year-old girl was raped.
Now check this out. Now before this demon from West Hell steps in to try to really divert her from dropping something here, she said, "Well, hold up now. Racists created this. 50 million babies were killed before they had an opportunity to live. We wouldn't be talking about being the underprivileged society or vulnerable people if we have 50 million new people on this earth, which would make us the majority in the United States. And if we're the majority, we would shape the legislature. If we're the majority, then we will shape the legislation for the country concerning our people." So you would have thought someone with any level of intelligence would have looked at that and say, yeah, if we had 50 million more people, we would be the majority. We wouldn't be the minority. So we would dictate legislation. You would think that an intelligent person, but he's going to come with an outliner. He's going to come with less than a 1% scenario to say, well, suppose someone's raped. Well, hold up. That's less than 1% of cases of children that are aborted. But I don't have to say anything because she articulates this. And I'm going to tell you, the Most High Spirit, regardless, right now she's aimed towards Republican and all that because it's the only party that's left with any level of biblical values left in it. She don't have the knowledge we understand concerning both of them. But what she's saying and how she's viewing things is from God. Okay? She's looking at this and saying, I will only align myself with a committee or a party or people that would protect children. And she's answering the questions. He says, well, why can't you do this and be Democrat? She says, I can't align myself with a party that's responsible for being racist. And there's no more racist than killing 50 million babies. Listen.
Somebody was raped and they're pregnant and they don't want to have that child. They don't want to have that experience. You don't feel like it's a woman's right to have an abortion?
So they talk about women's rights and women's choice. We need to first figure out why the government gave us a choice to kill our children and get away with it. Because as a man, you make the child. If you wanted to kill the baby, you would go to jail. You don't have a right to decide whether or not your child lives. Neither should a woman. Even in the instance of rape. Let's just talk about it because I've been raped.
So we're going to deal with the rape, but let's first congratulate her by saying, hold up, that's that man seed. What about my black man? Right. He don't have the right to kill the baby, so why should I? That's right. So they're not used to hearing any woman say that the black man have rights.
Rights for abortion.
I
like,
just want to.
If a girl, like let's say a 16-year-old girl was raped or somebody was raped and they're pregnant and they don't want to have that child. They don't want to have that experience. You don't feel like it's a woman's right to have an abortion?
So they talk about women's rights and women's choice. We need to first figure out why the government gave us a choice to kill our children and get away with it. Because as a man, you make the child. If you wanted to kill the baby, you would go to jail. You don't have a right to decide whether or not your child lives. Neither should a woman. Even in the instance of rape, let's just talk about it because I've been raped before. I have a 27-year-old daughter that's a lawyer, still deciding to choose life because at the end of the day, that child is still partly mine. Now, if you can't kill the person who raped you, why are we killing the child? And in addition to that, rape is only 1% of abortions. So the argument that's on the floor right now about abortion is the Democrats wanting to fund it. It's not necessarily taking away a woman's right, which I don't believe any woman should want a right. Because here's the thing, you taking away someone else's right to live.
Whoa! Nuclear bombs he's dropping right now. She says, well, listen. To show you the hypocrisy of Planned Parenthood, it was offered that they would pay a certain amount of money for all the other services that Planned Parenthood provides. And the Satanists through Planned Parenthood denied the money, saying that we don't want the money if we can't kill the black babies. Did y'all hear that? So the singular focus of Planned Parenthood is not about health care, reproductive health care for black women. Their focus is to get that Moloch sacrifice, that child's blood. See how we tied that in?
Yes, sir. I think any critical thinking person hearing that, hearing the origin of it, and hearing how it's even working in the world today, the political system, any critical thinking person would say, you know what, that makes sense. We should never, especially believing that Black Lives Matter, we should never support an organization that kills black life in the womb. But their response is, it tells me, now I don't know where they receive their funding from, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Planned Parenthood, LBGT money funding this whole operation here, because their responses come from a place like, no matter how much sense it makes not to kill black children, I just have to say, kill black children, so we don't stop getting that whatever money is coming through to support this radio station.
Let me tell you, what I found out is that almost 80% of the funding that's actually coming through the DNC is coming through the Black Lives Matter campaign. It's through the COVID campaign and the Black Lives Matter. So the corporations are using these two to control the narrative, to control those who are behind Planned Parenthood, Black Lives Matter, LBGT. So all the funds through the DNC is going through their agendas to implode society, to eventually attack us and separate us from our children.
Definitely pro-choice, and I highly disagree.
I'm pro-choice, and one of the reasons I'll say that is because
now she just comes out. I mean, I don't know what rock she done crawled up under, talking about she's pro-choice. What do that have to do with what she just said? Whether or not you're pro-choice,
right?
What about the 60 million babies that have died? You think those deaths? You think this one person's choice trumps those babies' lives? So who cares what you think? But don't worry about it. The Angela with the brain will handle the other Angela.
One of the reasons I'll say that is because I think history has proven that when abortion was illegal, women were still having abortions and they were doing them in very unsafe ways and dying from them. So that will still continue to go on. And then the only people who had access were people who could pay for private physicians so that they were able to travel, go get that done, pay a large sum of money. So that actually endangered our people who were living in poverty because they couldn't afford to go to a private doctor.
Let me tell you something. A baby dies every time in an abortion. Every time a woman has an abortion, a baby dies. You can't say Black Lives Matter and don't include the Black lives that are in the womb. Now, when you're talking about health care,
is it a fetus or a baby?
Let's talk about look up the definition of a fetus. A fetus is a human baby. Now, when you're talking about health care and in the Black community, we need to remember the Negro Project and Title X funds. When you go research the history of Planned Parenthood, the founder, Margaret Sanger, was a racist. The Negro Project was about them implementing birth controls into our population, into our communities to keep us from populating, to keep us from reproducing. Now, the thing of it is, when you guys say you're pro-choice, you have to think about this, the word and the trick. Why is it pro-life and then pro-choice? Because the opposite of life is death. The choice is death. So what we have to decide now is when we are voting is, are you going to vote for your children, your future children to die or your future children to live? Why not give them access to, it's a choice. What's the choice though?
Life or death.
Okay, so why would a mother choose death for her child? Everybody that's here, even all of us on this live, we got here because our mamas got pregnant. At the end of the day, it's somebody's life. So how is it that everybody that's advocating for abortion has never been aborted? How are you going against someone else's right to live? Because if you understand lifespan development, you know that we all go from being an embryo to a fetus, to an infant, to a toddler, to a child, to a teenager. It's a life. So when you guys say
context matters though. Context matters though. If a woman got raped, and I understand you say it's less than 1%.
So they still want to go to this woman got raped thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
60 seconds.
So when are you gonna understand you're in a losing battle here? You still want to go to the 1%? Who talking about a woman getting raped?
Right.
We talking about what, 50, 60 million babies dead from people who are crying foul, claiming that they are a marginalized minority, when there's 50 million of us that could have been here to become the majority. 50 million are dead. You sit there crying, I'm marginalized by the white supremacy and this, that, and the other, and help old poor black me because I'm the minority and the white supremacy. Well, there's 50 million people. You want to add them?
Seconds.
They probably could have multiplied and we would have been the majority here. That's right. Is what she's saying.
I got raped. I wouldn't expect her to carry that child.
Okay, so let's just say that's fair, and that's the decision for it. If they say, okay, we're gonna make this exception, if a woman is raped, let her make that decision. We still ended somebody else's life that didn't commit the rape. Let's remember that. But what about the other 99%? What about the fact that every time you see an advertisement for Planned Parenthood, it's targeting black women? What about the fact that 46% of our population has been aborted since 1974 when Roe v. Wade was passed? So when we're talking about the black vote and how we are the minority, why are we not waking up and realizing that we are not only killing our own army, but also aborting our votes? So what I would like to do as a congressman, because I promise you, everybody is voting for our children to die on the Democrat side. I would love to bring balance. I would love to give opportunity to women, because look, you can't tell me that the only way I can survive or be successful is by having an abortion when I'm a woman that came home from prison and raised 4 kids on my own, which are all a blessing. So if we want them to value our lives, then we need to begin to value the lives of our offspring. My one vote on the floor, the only thing it's going to do is bring balance, because at the end of the day, I want to save black life.
Now, let me ask you a question, Lawya. Anything that she said so far, was it to benefit a candidate or black lives?
Black lives. Point blank period. Black
Everything
lives.
she said had nothing to do with what party she's affiliated with. Now, I can't play the whole thing, but if y'all want to see this massacre, type in on your own time Angela Stanton, who comes with the sword of Gideon, the female version of Gideon, where she's taking the guts of Angela Yeezy and Charlemagne almost was a god, and the other guy. If you want to see a total bloodbath, an intellectual bloodbath where they're still picking up the pieces, go and see this I would say total annihilation of a broadcast. But I need to come to the end of this because she says something that was profound at the end of this. So look at the rest. It's about 1 hour of straight cuts. Okay.
Yeah, this thing could probably be a show.
Let me tell you, man. Listen, and Angela Yee, She was this small when it was finished. She wouldn't just ran into a corner somewhere. Listen to what this sister say at the end of this. Listen to this.
I'm with Boosie on this one. I let the man be a man. You right? That's not on the floor. There's nobody voting to say, hey, let's make it a law that parents can't tell their children that they're the opposite sex than what they really educated. I'm graduating with my bachelor's now, single mother. I met all the statistics, a chance to pass a law, a chance to have a name, clear my name, a chance to run for office. I can't say that the man is a racist because he didn't have to do it.
Let's not talk about that.
To take away
anybody's
I don't know if they agree with it.
I don't think that identifying as a gender means that you're telling your child to have sex.
Listen, I'm not lying to my children about who they are. That's me. Now, that's my belief. That's no law, right? That's not on the floor. There's nobody voting to say, hey, let's make it a law that parents can't tell their children that they're the opposite sex than what they really are. That's not a law. That's my personal belief, and I believe that I have a right to that. If I want to raise my children into believing that they are who they were born to be, I should have a right, and I shouldn't be criticized for that either.
Right, and then other people should have the right to raise their children as they see fit as well.
And they do. And they do. Mm-hmm. So am I the enemy because I don't agree? Do I have to agree?
If you're causing them to be oppressed in any way, if you're causing them to be marginalized in any way, then yes.
How you causing somebody to be oppressed by telling them the truth? You oppress people by lying to them, which is what the Democrat Party has been doing to us for the last 40 years. You oppress people by lying to them and making them believe in something that's not true and something that's not factual. So let me ask you, DJ Envy, because you have some beautiful children. I follow your page. If one of your sons or your daughter was to come to you and say, Daddy, I'm a boy. I want to go cut my breast off. As a father, what are you going to say to your daughter?
Well,
and she's 11 years old.
That means she's old enough, and she is 17 to 18, and I'm going to support a decision of what she wants to be. I'm going to try to tell. You want me to answer? So I'm going to try to of course.
Now, these are the guys who's shaping the next generation of children through culture.
That's scary.
Tell me this ain't... Now, and they're supposed to be the what? They're supposed to be the authority here, folks.
Tell her that I support her in whatever she wants or whatever she feels. If she is underage...
So he would compromise his own morality, his own family code for the sake of not offending someone else, another group.
Do anything until she gets a lot older. But if she is of age, then she can make the decision on her own. But my job is to make sure. But seriously, if she's 18, if she's 19, and she's 20, and she feels that way, then we're going to have the conversation.
So you and I had the same. You and I actually believe the same thing. If they're old enough to make those decisions, then fine. Correct. But giving children
now, if my 6-year-old says it, then that's something different. But
taking children to the doctor, letting them tell you what their gender is before they are of age is wrong. These are the things that we need to pay attention to. Also, I want to ask you and Charlamagne a question. You know, in New York, they've just made it legal where young underage transgenders can change their birth certificate. So I have 3 sons, right? So
underage at what age? What age? When you say underage, you say under 16?
12, 13, 14, 11, whatever they identify with, they're allowed to legally change their birth certificate. So I have 3 sons. So let's say my 19-year-old son in 5 years from now meets someone from New York that was legally able to change their birth certificate. They get married. He's waited 10, 15 years to have a child, finds out 15 years later that he is not married to a biological woman. He is actually married to a biological man. How is that fair to the person that's been deceived?
I think
nobody's saying that you shouldn't disclose your past, but that's fine.
But you know, that's law. That's what's in the Equality Act. That's what they're allowed to do. They're allowed to legally change their birth certificate. So
this is deep, and this is why it's good to listen to people who who is politically savvy and are in these conversations concerning bills that are being drafted right up under our noses.
That's right.
Because I didn't know there was a bill that was passed already under LBGT where transgender, a child can decide that they want their birth certificate changed while transitioning before they are adults. Did you know that this was something that was in law? But this is the schools, the liberal schools, are grooming your children for this. Listen, that's why it's good to keep your ear to the ground, because y'all might think this is a small thing, folks. But while you were working hard and through your sweat and tears trying to raise your children, this is the programming that's going on behind your back in these schools.
Agree with the deception.
I would wonder. I would wonder if that person would care after all of that time, because you already grew in love with a person. Clearly, you didn't see any difference.
Well,
so
there's women who can't have babies now. Does that mean you're going to leave them?
That's just like if you was married to a woman and she told you she didn't have any children, and then come to find out she got 5 kids stashed off somewhere. You would feel deceived. You would want to marry somebody that will be honest up front with you. You wouldn't want to marry somebody that's going to lie to you and keep a huge part of their life away.
Sounds great, but a lot of people are married to people they were deceived by in many ways. So I don't think you can ever prevent people from not deceiving people in marriage.
It's okay. I guess that's your excuse.
No, I mean,
because other people are
based on the response.
What I'm saying.
Hold up. Okay, I got it now. Everybody was with somebody that could have been lied or deceived by somebody, so we should allow deception to continue.
Right.
Everybody can do that. Are you kidding me? I think Satan himself interviewed these 3 for the Breakfast Club position.
Is that if your child identifies in a certain way and what you want is for your child to be happy and not feel oppressed,
do you have
and that's
children?
What they need.
Hold up now. You are pro killing a child. But the children that do live, you are for them switching their gender. So what is her values? Where's her stances? She's against children altogether, is what she's saying. She's against children being born with a woman rights to choose. And she's for the children only if they agree with switching their gender and want to deal with LGBTQ. Them the only children she's for.
And do you have children?
No.
Okay. I have 5 children. And as a mother who has raised children, it is not healthy to mislead your children or to lie to your children and make them believe in something that is not scientifically true. It does not benefit.
I support Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade and how they're allowing their child Zaya to grow. I know you don't. And they have children, and that's what I support.
Well, that's fine. I don't support it. I'm with Boosie on this one. I let the man be a man. You could be gay and still be a man. Like who would encourage
now what kind of world we live in when the Breakfast Club is being financed as what you would call an integral part of our culture? But a woman like this who's speaking of values when it comes to protecting family, protecting children at a young age, is looked to be silenced, muted, or even killed. What type of society we living in? Think about that. You'll never see this woman who's speaking right now with a show as big as the Breakfast Club. Why? You ever thought about that? Would you rather have your children listen to a show this woman put together, or these three Stooges?
Year-old boy even know how to feel like a woman? That's questionable. Because if you see a 12-year-old girl,
boy, but see the whole thing.
No. I know what it takes to feel like a woman. Do you?
But
I know what it takes to feel like a woman.
Like you said, you have 5 kids, right? You have 5 kids, and you raise your kids the way you want to raise your kids. I raise my kids the way I want to raise my kids, and they are allowed to raise their kids the way that they want to raise.
Right, and they're also allowed to be criticized. You're right, and I don't agree. I don't agree that we should encourage. And first of all, how does it benefit Black America. Y'all talking about restoring, right? Black America, restoring our lives, restoring our economy, restoring our families. How does it even benefit Black America to encourage our men to become women? Because first of all, if anybody understands the strategies of war, if it's trying to take out a colony of people, the first thing they do is remove the men. So as a woman, first of all, I need my man. I need my Black man. You know, I need you to be a man. I need you to lead.
It's time to go to church.
Competent.
It's time to go to church.
I raised my kids the way
Hold up, it's time to go. You got me ready to go amen up in this piece.
Right, and they're also allowed to be criticized.
Hold up.
You're right, and I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree that we should encourage. And first of all, how does it benefit Black America? Y'all talking about restoring, right? Black America, restoring our lives, restoring our economy, restoring our families. How does it even benefit Black America to encourage our men to become women? Because first of all, if anybody understands the strategies of war, if it's trying to take out a colony of people, the first thing they do is remove the men. So as a woman, first of all, I need my man. I need my Black man. You know, I need you to be a man. I need you to lead. I don't need you to be competition. I don't need you to feel like you a woman or feel like you are me, because I don't have to give my crown away. So no, I don't support.
Go ahead, Lawya. Go ahead, Lawya.
See, the thing about this, usually when you have these people who are Black Trump supporters, usually they can easily be just cast off as they hate their own selves. They don't like themselves. They have self-hatred. They like white. You know, if it's a Black man, oh, he likes white women. If it's a Black woman who's a Trump supporter, oh, she like white men. You know, we could just cast them to the side. But this sister, they can't just easily excuse, because she made it clear not that she needs her man, just her man, but specifically,
I need my Black man. And guess what? She raised her children by herself and isn't bitter against Black men. And she says she made some decisions that got her up in jail, which led to her son, because she was in jail. Eventually, something happened to him in which her son is gay now, because she wasn't there.
Right.
So now you can't say nothing about rape, Elder Lawya, because she say I was raped, and my daughter that came from the rape, because I chose life over death, is now a lawyer. She's now an integral part of, not only that, not just a person who's living. She's an integral, righteous person for society. She's a constructive cog in this machine now, because I chose right and raised her right. She's a lawyer. She may help somebody get off one day. You complaining about cops and all this. She may shape the legislation or whatever the case is to protect a young man who's being railroaded, because I saved my daughter through rape. And then they can't use her like the liberal wing, the demonic, satanic Moloch wing use Black women who are ignorant. You can't use her like this, because she's like, well, no, I've been to jail. I couldn't get welfare and all those things. I know I had to do what? I had to kick in and find something that I would have never found being taken care of by government. My talents, my God-given gifts, okay, my will to survive, which made me stronger. And you can hear all of this is being, it's actually coming out of her, the strength that it came from her having to stand up and go through these ills in life that most of us use as a crutch.
Exactly. As you mentioned, it's deep, because usually she fits all the statistics that liberals would usually use in order to capitalize off of and embitter a Black woman to want to kill her children and to do all those things that they would usually embitter a woman to do. But she just you know, for whatever reason, decided not to go that route.
And she said, I love not just my man, I love my Black man. What benefit is it for our society in which we would congratulate a Black man turning into a woman? What does that say? On one hand, we say we want a strong Black family. We need strength in the home. We need economic empowerment and all these other things that can only come from if there's black strong men. One more again.
Who would encourage? How do a 12-year-old boy even know how to feel like a woman? That's questionable. Because if you see a 12-year-old girl,
boy, but see the whole thing.
No. I know what it takes to feel like a woman. Do you?
But
I know what it takes to feel
Angela,
like a woman.
Like you said, you have 5 kids,
like
right? You have 5 kids, and you raise your kids the way you want to raise your kids. I raise my kids the way I want to raise my kids, and they are allowed to raise their kids the way that they want to raise them.
Right, and they're also allowed to be criticized. You're right, and I don't agree. I don't agree that we should encourage. And first of all, how does it benefit Black America? Y'all talking about restoring, right? Black America, restoring our lives, restoring our economy, restoring our families. How does it even benefit Black America to encourage our men to become women? Because first of all, if anybody understands the strategies of war, if it's trying to take out a colony of people, the first thing they do is remove the men. So as a woman, first of all, I need my man. I need my Black man. You know, I need you to be a man. I need you to lead. I don't need you to be competition. I don't need you to feel like you a woman or feel like you are me, because I don't have to give my crown away.
Go on,
so
girl.
No, I don't support feminizing, especially not our boys. But if you're an old man and you want to make a decision that that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I don't have to support it. And I don't. And tell me, how does it benefit us?
I just support happiness and choices. And I know sometimes people have a lot of mental health issues and a lot of trauma associated with people with feeling like they should be ashamed of who they are because of what society tells them that they should be.
Well, you are.
And so I know a lot of times
if you're not being yourself, Angela, you're not making sense. If you're not willing to be yourself,
and if who you are and being yourself is I am a woman, and that's the gender that I am, and that's me being myself, and that's it.
No. Okay. All right. But anyway,
I don't think it's yeah, let's move on. But I don't think there's anything wrong with supporting people the same way that you support your son who happens to be gay.
Yeah, you can support them, but you don't have to condone it. You don't have to agree with it. I can support your decision to believe that you're a woman, but that don't mean that I have to encourage it, or I have to condone it, or I have to tell other young boys to go be a princess, or I got to support Billy Porter being on.
You know, we have to go in a second.
Hold on. What'd you say about Billy Porter?
This is the bloodbath.
I said, or I don't have to support Billy Porter going on Sesame Street teaching children about LGBTQ, because you can't teach children about being a lesbian or being bisexual or being gay without teaching them about sex. And in heterosexual households, nobody is teaching their children about sex at that young of an age. So I don't have to support
you could be gay and be celibate.
Now, what is she highlighting, though? You can be gay and you can be celibate. What is the definition of gay? A man that's sexually attracted to another man. You can be celibate and be gay. How is that possible? Where did they get this girl at? She came in like, okay, I'm coming with the smart stuff. Let me bring the smart stuff, y'all. How is she gonna topple this? I tell you, you can be celibate and gay.
Lord have mercy.
Lord, boy, they just letting anyone get a show. Let's listen to this again.
The gender that I am, and that's me being myself.
The sister had to laugh.
Especially not our boys. But if you're an old man and you want to make a decision that that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I don't have to support it.
That girl need Christ.
And I don't.
Oh, man.
And tell me, how does it benefit us?
I just support happiness and choices. And I know sometimes people have a lot of mental health issues and a lot of trauma associated with people with feeling like they should be ashamed of who they are because of what society tells them that they should be.
Well, you are.
And so I know a lot of times
if you're not being yourself, Angela, you're not making sense. If you're not willing to be yourself,
and if who you are and being yourself is I am a woman, and that's the gender that I am, and that's me being myself, and that's it.
No. Okay.
I think.
All right. But anyway,
I don't think it's Yeah, let's move on. But I don't think there's anything wrong with supporting people the same way that you support your son who happens to be gay.
Yeah, you can support them, but you don't have to condone it. You don't have to agree with it. I can support your decision to believe that you're a woman, but that don't mean that I have to encourage it or I have to condone it or I have to tell other young boys to go be a princess.
Now the point about this is, and what she's highlighting is deep, because you have to understand this in the context what we were bringing out earlier. Mm-hmm. Why are they pushing this thing, which doesn't make any sense? That sounds crazy on the surface. Why would you want to early, 4 or 5 years old, teach children about something that even straight families don't do when it comes to 5 and 4 year olds? Traditional families wouldn't even think about teaching the child about what even a man and woman, a traditional marriage is at the age of 5. Why would you introduce the first conversation of marriage is being introduced through alternative lifestyles in kindergarten, showing 2 men marrying each other when their father and mother who's married didn't teach the child about marriage yet? And your first introduction to marriage is gay marriage? So look at this in the context of what we're saying, how the wicked satanic Moloch priesthood has went live throughout society, through public schools and all that. Because this is how they begin to pervert children, to initiate them into the Moloch sacrifice before the parents have an opportunity to instill the full values in them, which takes time. Usually that value system is actually shaped in a child between 5 and 12. We don't need no one to come in between and say, well, look at this too. And even she says, listen, there was a 5-year-old who came back from school and asked her mother, what's a lesbian? And the mother was like asking the daughter, like, lesbian? What are you asking about a lesbian for? Well, come to find out, they was giving out literature in kindergarten showing Ellen DeGeneres, and I didn't get the name wrong, Ellen DeGeneres as a philanthropist and a lesbian. So she helps children and she's a lesbian. So the child had to ask, well, mommy, what's a lesbian? At the age of 5. The mother was forced to have to explain something when the mother never even explained what a normal marriage is to the child yet.
Gotta support Billy Porter being on.
You know, we have to go in a second.
What'd you say about Billy Porter?
And see, and this is why they're progressing this agenda, folks, because why? We are waking up. We know what's going on has nothing to do with them being bullied, because they're in a position to protect themselves now. They have more political protection than we have in the earth. So you can't say it's about them being bullied when they have more political status and finances behind them than we do. It can't be about marriage, because under Barack Obama, he gave them something by the same time telling black people he couldn't do nothing for us. So you can't say it's about marriage, because they have more rights than we do. So they know we're figuring this out now.
Right.
Well, no, you want our children. This is a ritual. You want to legalize and make pedophilia legal, because the hidden part of this is the pedophilia that leads to that behavior. So since we are now scratching the surfaces and realize it's not what y'all said it was, or you'd be satisfied by now. No one is bullying you. No one is trying to come against you. So what is it? What is this selling you're still doing? It's pushing for new laws. You want to do what Greek and Rome was doing. You want to be able to take a child and deal with the child and say, well, it was consensual. Under new laws through pedophilia, and they're using the same script to make pedophilia law as they did to bring in gay marriage. The same script. So really, you want children for your child sacrifice.
or I don't have to support Billy Porter going on Sesame Street teaching children about LGBTQ, because you can't teach children about being a lesbian or being bisexual or being gay without teaching them about sex. And in heterosexual households, nobody is teaching their children about sex at that young of an age. So I don't have to support
you could be gay and be celibate.
What's gay?
That doesn't mean you're having sex.
What's gay though?
You could be a lesbian and not be having sex at all.
What's the definition of gay? What's the definition of a lesbian? So
celibate?
let me give you an example.
Yes.
Let me give you an example.
Yo, even Charlemagne couldn't co-sign that. Yeah. Hold up, you can be gay and celibate? now let me tell you, Charlemagne probably seen some murky parties in his day, but he had to straighten that one out. He done trudged through some dark waters and had to come back and straighten that one out. Like, well, hold up now, there's something that I've seen many weird circumstances and compromised scenarios in my life, but a celibate gay person.
And check this out.
Professor Yee, explain. But go on.
Now this is the Billy Porter that they just got on.
Billy Porter.
This is Billy Porter.
Oh my God! This is Billy Porter now. Now, when I was growing up, looking at Sesame Street, we had men like Morgan Freeman come on as guest star, LeVar Burton come on,
Stevie Wonder.
The guy, even the father from Good Times was on it one time. He was on it one time. JJ from Good Times, even Dynamite. I'm going to show you who's on Sesame Street now. And there was this song that used to say, one of these things doesn't belong here. And I think that particular song is appropriate for the new males who are influencing our children on Sesame Street now. Billy Porter. Billy Porter. Now, they for killing babies. They're for transgender men being feminized. And they're for guys like this teaching your children at the age of 4 and 5. Child sacrifice, ritualistic sacrifice leading to what?
There was a woman that sent me a picture of her child's first grade English book. And inside of that English book, it was a picture of Ellen DeGeneres. And it said up under Ellen DeGeneres is a humanitarian and a lesbian. The 5-year-old baby went home and asked her mom, what's a lesbian? So now that mother has to sit down and explain to her child what a lesbian is at the age of 5 years old. I hate to tell you, but when you open Pandora's box, it cannot be closed. I don't have to explain heterosexuality to my children at the young age of 5 years old. So I shouldn't have to explain two men being together. I shouldn't have to explain two women being together. It's all sexual preference, and we need to keep sex.
So you're saying you shouldn't have to explain any of that. You shouldn't have to explain sex.
Why are we talking about
man, woman?
Sex? Why are we talking about, no, that's sexual preference. When you go to talking about lesbian and gay, why are we having that conversation with 5-year-olds or 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds? Because see, me, I was sexually abused at the age of 5. And if it was my choice, I'd have just been happy playing with toys and thinking about Happy Meals. Like, that's too much for their mind. If they're not there yet, we don't even need to introduce them. You wouldn't want nobody talking to your kid about sex at 5 years old.
So he was on there talking about he was
explaining sexual preference.
He was on there talking about having sex. I'm confused.
Well, LGBTQ, if you're explaining it, how do you explain it without talking about sex? It's all about sex. Lesbian means two women that prefer to have sex with each other. Gay means two men that prefer to have sex with each other. A bisexual person is a person that has sex with both sexes. I mean, come on, y'all. Let's just be real for a minute.
Let's be real for a minute. Now, Elder Lawya. Now, there's another element to this. Now, that's a bloodbath right there. I mean, she just decimated. I mean, the devil just ripped their contract up as I was just playing that. As that was going, the devil sitting there with red fingernails, just okay. We can't use these three anymore. Now, that's just one element that affects our children. But I'm going to show you why Christian churches refuse to teach the laws of God. Because the laws of God protects what? Children. It protects children, and on top of that protection, it builds a value system, a barometer of right from wrong early in their impressionable years. Right? So, Elder Lawya, let's get Leviticus 6 real quick. The structure of a kingdom. Oh, the law is done away with. We're under grace. That's what you're passing. Oh, no, we're under grace. Okay. See, by them teaching that erroneously, because they don't even understand what that means, it'll allow what? Children to be victimized. Dysfunction to continue within our communities. So there's simple laws that on the surface should make common sense. But why aren't these laws being enforced is the question. Well, these laws are our protection against them, folks. Now that we understand what their true intentions are. Their true intentions don't have anything to do with protecting women. They need women to get to the children. Why? Because Satan requires child sacrifice. That's right. It's that simple. So the more simpler, uneducated, dysfunctional the woman is, the better it is for society which thrives on child sacrifice. So they're not giving out socialized checks and money to women and child support to women because they care about women. It has nothing to do with that. It's a societal dependence on the government so that they can have continued access to their dysfunctional children. And these children can be weaponized against the rest of us. So let's read it real quick. So it's not just that, because there's behaviors that even happen within families that lead to dysfunction. And this is how LGBTQ and more letters will be added. This is why they'll always be able to add letters, is because we're not applying these laws in the what you would call impressionable, the impressionable years of our children. Let's read Leviticus 18:6. Read it.
Yes, sir. Leviticus 18, verse 6.
Read.
None of you shall approach any that is near of kin to him.
No one should approach those who are near in kin. That's sleeping with relatives. Now you can't now say that, well, hold up, I'm under grace. Near to kin is like incest, brothers, sisters. Someone that you've been raised in your family like a close brother or sister. You're not supposed to deal with them. Mm-hmm. It causes dysfunction. The Most High knew this. It makes people loony. See, but Satan wants that because they can use that loony and give them finances under Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ and now radicalize that loony against you. See? Keep it going.
None of you shall approach to any that is near of him to kin to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord.
To uncover their nakedness, I am the Lord. Okay. Perversions. Now, they don't want to teach this in the church at all. They say we're under grace. But this is, let me tell you, what we're showing here is where the father and mother, the adults, set boundaries in their home. A value system instilled in their children that will go well beyond the years of their father and mother. Okay. But there's no boundaries in our communities where we live. And it leads to dysfunction. And this is how they have the children. This is how they get access to our children. No boundaries. Next of kin. Read on.
Verse 7. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover, She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
Now, I'm going to give you something else on this. I'm going to drop this on you because I'm going to show you some dysfunctions that we, through tradition or just through time, don't even realize it's crossing boundaries. And I just usually you see this with women, and if men are dealing with this, we really have problems. A woman can be in a bathroom, a mother can be in bathroom naked with her daughter, a grown daughter. And they could just be having a conversation about going and pick up a bag or where they go and shop it and think that that's a normal behavior. You can have even girlfriends who can be in the same bathroom while someone is in the stall doing their business, and you're washing hands and you're talking to there's this thing where women think you can be with a naked woman in a bathroom because you're family. It's cool because we're girlfriends. That's perversion. That's backward. A daughter's not supposed to look at her mother once she gets to the age of reason to understand, okay, that's what, when you grow up and you're 10, 11 years old, you're not supposed to see your mother naked. You're not supposed to be in the bathroom with your mother. The same with the father. See, and these are just elementary things that we weren't taught as a people. Mm-hmm. Because why? We were raised by freaks. The Greeks, the Romans, they were known to have bathhouses where grown people who are respected in society was walking around butt naked around other men and women. Mm-hmm. But we had a value system. We know that you can't operate like that. Ham was actually cursed for doing something like that. When Noah came off the ark. So we don't know where our boundaries are. You can't just sit there and talking to your girlfriend and she's in a tub and you sitting on a toilet. This is not. That's not a societal function. You're in a bathroom. But you see how we have taken on something within our culture that we deem normal? What you got, Elder Rawchaa?
Yes, sir. Genesis 9:22.
Yeah.
And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without.
Another thing we can't have. Okay? Another thing we can't have. We can't have Pop's dad running around thinking that he can just walk around, Dad walking around the house and he, he's on an expose. Oh yeah, the corner of the orange juice still here. He's sitting there with his tidy whities on, walking. No, you can't roll like that in your home. You are a man. You are a king. You are a prince. You can't be rolling, sitting there with no shirt on, with some tidy whities on, and there's people up in the house. And not only that, let me tell you, I can be in the house by myself. And I'll take a robe to go downstairs because anything can happen between the time I come downstairs in the refrigerator. Someone can knock on the door. It's proper etiquette. It's respect for ourselves. Somewhere along the way, we've lost that. So when we talk about these laws, no pork, fringes, and all that, these are the pieces that separate us when we read the law from heathens, from animals. When you read these laws like this is what makes us special and different than other people who are heathen and operate, simply on animal instinct. You're regal. You're royal. See? Finish reading.
Leviticus 18 and verse number 9. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or the daughter of thy mother.
Come on.
Whether she be born at home or born abroad.
Whether she born at home or born abroad.
Even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover.
The nakedness thou shalt not cover. You're not even supposed to know what your sister looked like or what your brother looked like or vice versa, what your father looked like or what your mother looks like. Because why? You're a people of dignity. You're regal. See? There's no boundaries. So if you don't have boundaries operating as an adult, what are we teaching our children? You don't realize what you're teaching them is to be promiscuous. Because if you walk around like that when you get 11, 12 years old and thinking it's okay to be hanging out, male or female, someone is going to violate. Pedophilia. It's going to happen. Because the mother or father didn't actually draw the line when it comes to boundaries. I remember growing up where we're sitting on our stoop or our steps, whatever y'all want to call it, depending on your geography. Mm-hmm. And a girl would sit on the steps. She would have on a long dress and couldn't have her legs open while sitting on the steps. Mm-hmm. Mom would pop her with a ruler or pop her with a stick and say, "Close your legs, girl, you a lady." And here it is, she got on a long dress all the way down to her knees and sitting there talking and waving. And grandma would just pop her like, "You a lady. A lady don't sit like that. Close your legs. Put your legs together. Mm-hmm. Hold your head up. Hold your posture. You are a lady." Is that still happening? Or are we plagued with the Angela Yees of the world? See, but that's learned. These are behaviors. These are what you would call courteous behaviors that are learned through God's law. This is what separates us from everyone else. Okay. Finish reading.
Verse number 10. The nakedness of thy son's daughter or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness, thou shalt not uncover.
Come on.
For theirs is thine own nakedness.
For theirs are thine own nakedness. Now, also, there was a time in which a guy, I thank the Most High for this, brother. He found out that his daughter was actually doing some type of, weird dance. Y'all know what it is on Facebook. And he's like, "Oh, you want to dance, huh?" He said, "Oh, you want to dance, huh?" There's Gaja? Mm-hmm. So you want to dance, huh? So what happened? He sat there, he on camera, pulled out his belt and gave it to her. And guess what? What's deep about this is this man received so much pushback from those who are supposed to be for our people. Mm-hmm. Liberals. "Oh, that's abuse, this, that, and the other. You shouldn't do this." What? You want a daughter of Zion, a daughter of God to be presented this way and think that a father should allow such behavior? Hold up. Finish reading, because I think Elder Gaja, right?
Yes, sir.
Come on, finish reading.
I'll read this last verse.
I'll bring you in
11.
1 second, Elder Gaja.
I'll read one last verse, verse 11. The nakedness of thy wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister.
She is thy sister, read.
Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. 2 more, then I'll bring you in, Elder Gaja. I'll bring you in 1 second.
Mm-hmm. And I'll jump back. I'm going to read verse number 3 because
read.
As you were mentioning earlier, these laws were not being brought out just for frivolous purposes. These practices that we're reading here were okay in other cultures that we were associated with. So the Most High had to tell us that those things that were accustomed or that the people of those lands were used to, you can't do that amongst my land, being my people.
Exactly. So what may seem normal to other people isn't for us. So all that it used to be back then, that's old time and things have changed. The stuff you're hearing now, the Lord said, listen, that's how the Gentiles were. This ain't nothing. What we're saying isn't new. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're 1 step away from women just walking outside butt naked. Mm-hmm. Straight out. Because you can't get as naked as you can be. You can't get as naked as you are in what they call, those spandex workout pants. What everyone and their mama is working out right now. No matter where you go, I don't care what the age, everyone got on something where every crevice is being seen by the populace. And no one is looking at this as weird. Like, okay, what's the next step? Greek erotica is the next step. Okay. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Jumping back to verse 2 and 3. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, I am the Lord your God, after the doings of the land of Egypt. Now,
the Egyptians were a bunch of unrepentant freaks. You want to talk about LGBTQ? The Egyptians were down with, look at some of what's on the hieroglyphs when it comes to the Egyptians. What they playing with and all that. Talking about pyramids. Oh, yeah, we built the pyramids. Right. Yeah, but what were you doing behind the pyramids is the question.
That's right.
Finish reading.
After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do.
So it didn't start just with Greek erotica. They were doing all types of, wickedness in Egypt. And when Moses and the Israelites, when our forefathers came out of Egypt, it's like, no, we don't act like that. We're civilized. I'm your God.
That's right.
I'm your God. One more scripture, and then we can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Let's get real quick. 1 second. And I'll pick it up. I'll pick up the rest with father and mother and all that next this Sabbath. Let's get Proverbs 22 and 6.
Proverbs 22 verse 6.
Come on.
Train up a child in the way that he should go.
Train up a child in the way that he should go. Read.
And when he is old, he will not depart from it.
And when he is old, he shall not depart from it. See, and this is why they try to get to your children before you do. In the schools. It's child sacrifice, folks. They're looking to turn our children out before and teach them about sex, to sexualize them. Because one thing about children, everything they learn at the age of 5 and up is education. They're just a sponge. They're not rejecting anything. So we must be very careful what's going into them. Those are the learning ages, the impressionable ages. They're not looking at that and saying, the majority of them are saying, well, no. Especially when they're learning from top child psychologists who can make them believe what they're teaching is acceptable. By doing what? Leaving a child out if they don't receive it. Children 5 and 6, 4 don't like to be left out. So they're being punished by these witches in kindergarten saying, well, if you can't be Cindy, you can't come into the circle. Everyone else is in the circle. And he's struggling with it because he says, hold up, my name is Jack. But I'll be left out if I'm not Cindy today. See? Come on in, Cindy. You don't even know that they role play different sexes and all that with so, and they saying to prepare our children for the next generations to come to be able to accept those who might be different. So you don't know exactly how one feels unless you're in their shoes. So Jack, today you're gonna play Cindy, and you know what we have for you today, Cindy? Put on a dress today. And because children don't like to be excluded, and you think I'm making this up? No, I'm not making it up. A black guy, his father came to the school and seen his son in a dress, role playing. Okay? Yep. And this all leads to giving your child over to Moloch, folks. What we're witnessing in this earth today through this agenda is the plan. It has nothing to do about acceptance. It's this whole COVID thing and everything. I need y'all to check out how many cases that's going to come up in September when schools open, when they've already dropped that only the underprivileged and poor and those that have special needs will be allowed to go to school first. And check out how many cases in which COVID will come up, and which now you'll see in the media that the child have to be separated from the family. Watch. Document this, because they know we waking up. And there's no better blood of children than the blood of the children of Israel for them. Our children. And I know that's sick, but these are the people in position I'm talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. I
need to do one more, and then we'll bring in, right? I need one more with Christ. Let's bring it to Christ real quick.
Suffer the children.
Exactly. And I'll pick up the rest when it comes to the structure of a kingdom and break down that structure. And it starts with what? A moral foundation. And that's what it took me a while to get here, but it starts with a moral foundation. Our people have forgotten what that is. The do's and don'ts. How do you lay that foundation? If that foundation isn't laid right, the whole thing topples. So there's a moral code we call a Christ code that must be implemented to protect our children. Okay? Let's read it real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Matthew 19:13.
Yeah.
Then were brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them, and pray. And the disciples rebuked them. But Yeshua said, Suffer little children, and forbid them not to come unto me.
Forbid them not to come unto me.
For such is the kingdom of heaven.
Because the kingdom belongs to them. And this is why Satan set up a system that requires child sacrifice. Because he knows Christ loves children. So he set up a child. Satan set up a system that would break children, kill children, separate children, make them mentally ill, put them on medication, make them to turn them as adults to enemies of God and enemies of society. See? And it's not their fault. That's why it's upon us to protect them. And that's why I wanted to highlight that sister who came out, regardless of her party affiliations. She's like, listen, I'm here. I'm on the floor. I'm here using my tact and know-how and education and experience to protect black children. You're not doing it. You're not doing it. Look how many, you're not out trying to shut down Planned Parenthood right now, who's killing our children right now, where they're strategically placed baby killing facilities in black and Hispanic communities. You're not saying nothing about that. Mm-hmm. That's why I brought that out, because it's all child sacrifice, and it's upon us, the adults who bring them in the world. It's upon us to lay that foundation that protects them. It's upon us. That's not their responsibility. They're out there on their own, on their own. Because we don't understand that code, that foundation that we must establish. So it's upon the priests, the teachers, those that understand the Bible, to take a hard stance when it comes to what's right and what's wrong, and take a hard stance on it for our children. Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
St. Matthew chapter 19, verse 13. But
Come on.
Yeshua said, Suffer little children, and forbid them not to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven.
For such is the kingdom of heaven. So I need you to do me a favor. If you're on Blog Talk, I need you now to come over to the because I want to take all your calls, so I'm not going to leave you out. If you're on Blog Talk, I need you to now come over to the conference call. I'm going to come down the line and take all your calls one at a time. Okay? Christ said he suffered the children to come unto him. It's on us as adults to protect our children, understanding the religious component in all of this. That really the whole system was set up to prey on children's blood. All of these societies. That's the real, folks. What I'm dropping right now is the real. I know a lot of us have adjusted ourselves because we cannot bring ourselves to believe that a system would be so wicked that would prey on the blood of children. But it does. Okay, it does. And it doesn't, there's no benefit in ignoring what it is or saying that, well, you'd rather believe what I'm saying so that you can now establish that extra layer of protection for your children. You'd rather believe what I'm saying. Because the least you'll do is take the extra step in instilling the word of God in your children and protecting them. Right? So I need you, if you're on Blog Talk, I need you to come on over real quick, okay? Come on over. One more, let me put it up here and I'll answer your questions. Come on over and I'll see your phone numbers in Blog Talk. I'll answer your numbers first. 712-451-0439. So come on over and I'll answer your questions. Let's go down the line. And thank you all for your attendance tonight. And a lot of, there have been some good comments, but some of y'all get wild out there, but it's all right. I don't know who, Satan himself sometimes, he must have an account, but yeah, let's go. But the majority of you, 99.9% of you, hey, great work. You bring in you bring in some what you would call some constructive building points, and I thank the Most High for that. Let's see here. One moment. So come on in. I'm going to end it over here, and I'm going to...
For using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
And I'm going to bring in Elder Rawchaa. You had something to say, or we went past the point a long time. I'm sorry about that.
Shalom.
Shalom. What's going on? What's going on, young man?
Nothing much, man. I'm just here listening to the show. When Elder Lawya just went up to the third verse of Leviticus, that's where I was going. You with me? Talking about the ways of the Egyptian. But check this out, Elder. This evening, when was it? This evening I was coming on my way in, and I stumbled onto a discussion at a family house. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you loud and clear. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So I stumbled onto a discussion right now at a family house. Went round and there was some community teacher or somebody from the community talking to my niece, telling my niece that she should enter into some beauty pageant. So I'm like, yo, hold up. So I'm like, yo, wait. Why should she enter into this beauty pageant? Oh, it's going to give her confidence. I'm like, confidence or what? Why does she need confidence? And I'm like, yo, listen, look at me. I'm her uncle. Look at her father over there. That's my brother. Our genes is full of confidence. You with me? There's no beauty pageant that's gonna come and teach her how to be confident. You with me? And then the reasoning that she was giving and she was coming, I'm like, yo, listen, sis, check this out. You need to stay away from your conversations right now. It don't really make no sense. You with me? You're looking to build community. We need to start from the grassroots and start to teach the people to fear God first. You with me? And then what we need to get rid of out of our communities are pedophiles who are gonna come and prey on our children. Pedophiles, rapists, murderers. You with me? We need to identify them and tell them to leave. And if they don't leave, then eventually we will take them out. And I'm not advocating anything for violence here, but I'm saying that we need to protect our communities, because you have these witches and demons masquerading as teachers and community support worker and childcare help. You with me? Which are preying on the children and preying on the unsuspecting and the naive of our people. Preying predators. You with me? So I'm like, nah, man. And then, as I started to talk, then she got up and left. I'm like, yo, man, you need to go. You with me? You're bringing nothing here. Because how can you come tell me something or trying to bring something here to this child that you yourself have never been a part of and don't know what's going on? So you're just selling a dream to somebody, and the next thing you know, it's a molestation case. You with me? So now, man, leave my niece alone and get lost. So that was my afternoon. That was my afternoon talk, and then coming on right now and then hearing the broadcast. It's always a story like that where it just moving in the currents. But the structure of a kingdom, the foundations, our constitution, our Bible, God first, nation second. You with me? It's right in line with the same conversations we've been having. What else caught my eye? Oh yeah, in Jamaica there's a political party set up by pastors. Pastors are going out right now trying to change things through politics. And I'm like, yo, you stupid. When did Christ set up any political parties? When did Christ do that? So why you think you can come right now and set up a political entity and create any difference? I mean, Uncle Lawya, can you grab me a precept real quick?
Yep, sure.
Let me see where I'm. My bad. Can you get me 2 Corinthians 8 and 9, please?
And while he's getting that, on the point you were making about the beauty pageants, we all know that these are just exhibitionist pageants. Usually you have nothing but these freaks who are looking for the next line of girls that'll be turned out in Hollywood or in the entertainment field. That also goes into child sacrifice, Moloch, the pedophilia, because there shouldn't be no young girl walking on the stage, a little girl in a what you would call a bathing suit. They got pageants where, okay, we got the swimsuit walk now, and you got 8 and 9-year-old girls walking around in bathing suits with a bunch of pedos in the audience. So I'm glad you stood up, because it's these witches and warlocks to be like, they come up to you, oh, I like your jawbone. Listen, I'm looking at your jawbone. Okay,
that's right.
And if you don't want that thing loose, it's time for you to step back.
And leave.
Okay,
let's go. Leave it.
Go ahead. What you have? What you got, Gabar? I mean, Elder Gadget.
Yep.
Well, you're right, man. You're right. You're right on that, and I'm glad I showed up when I did. You get me? I'm like, yo, who are you? Why are you here? What are you talking about? This is my niece. What's up? You with me? Yo, leave her. Just, she don't need no beauty pageant. She's confident. She's okay the way she is.
Exactly.
You with me? Don't put no nonsense in her head. You understand? And that's what they do. They go around and I'm like, yo, I'm looking at them like, yo, what the hell? Yo, move, man, leave. You get me? Leave. So I mean, it was abrupt. I know some people, were a bit bent out of shape, but yo, they'll get over it. You get me? I don't care. You understand? I'm not gonna be at the other end of a conversation hearing something about something that went down, knowing full well that I can see what's coming and not put a stop to it. You with me?
Good.
And this is what we need to do. We have like I said, you see pastors coming out right now, trying to join hand politically, trying to bring a change. No, the change is the Bible. We need to come back to the script, come back to the structure of the kingdom that's been laid down for us. We have our constitution. That it's here.
If you want to find out what a good thing is, read the Bible. If you want to find out what a bad thing is, read the Bible. All levels of governance is within this Constitution. We don't need nothing else.
Okay.
You with me?
Well, let's get through it, Elder, because we got a lot of calls to get through. But I want to get your points in.
That's just this quick verse, Elder Lawya. Second Corinthians 8 and 9. As a matter of fact, I'll read it. It says, "For you know the grace of our Lord Yeshua Christ, that he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that he might through poverty, that through his poverty, might be rich." So if anybody could have come and do any political gain scheme, any political access or anything, it would have been the Messiah. But he never took that route. He came, he left the Pharisees them over that side, he left Caesar over that side and said, yo, listen, give Caesar what Caesar is due, but give the Most High what's due to the Most High. And that is the structure of the kingdom. Yo, we here, we're in their kingdom right now.
Yeah.
But yo, yeah, we have next. Our kingdom is coming next. You with me? And the greatest leaders, and Christ said the greatest amongst you is a servant. So the children of Israel right now have been serving. And we are showing the other nations then, yo, listen, this is how you're gonna serve. This is what we did. You're gonna have to do this. So it's that example. You said something just then, Elder, about the devil preying on the children. The last point, when you said the devil preying on the children, right? And it jogged me. When you look at Abraham's sacrifice, when he went to sacrifice Isaac, right? Isaac wasn't what we would call a child. Isaac was a grown man in the 30s.
He was in his 30s.
But the scriptures refer to him as the lad. So we are children, are babies in the eyes of the Most High, and that's how the devil is after us. We the children, the children, the lads, the kids, in the eyes of the Most High, in the eyes of the ancient of days. You understand? We're babes. So the devil has that target on these children. You with me? We the children.
Let me say something. I'll let you come in because something just came to my mind, and we wrapping this up too. And I really want you to hear this, and I want you to say what you got to say on it. What people don't understand is that what we call, when they put these little groups together called like Black Lives Matter, you have to understand what they're saying. Okay? They're not talking about black people. They're talking about the dark forces. They're talking about the black in a sense of black cult, black witches, black warlocks. That's what they're talking about. That's right. And it's not what they say because they use magic to make you think they're for something else through their deceptive psychology. But you have to see what they do, what they're for, how they dress, how they carry themselves. This is the dark force. So we're talking about a black priesthood. There's always been the black priesthood under Satan, even the black pope who's over the Jesuits in the Catholic Church. He's not a black man. He just called a black pope because he deal with very dark forces. And I'm putting this out there for you all because listen, and you have to realize Black Lives Matter is an occult, coven, an occult ritualistic organization right front and center in front of our eyes. That's what it is, without them even saying it. And they are saying it, but a lot of people aren't listening. Listen, and I'm going to put this out there and then you can come in, Gaja. If Black Lives Matter, the other day I seen a sister, last night, this morning, I was looking at a few things and I seen a sister, after looking at this sister totally decimate the Breakfast Club. Thank the Most High for that. I seen another sister online who was celebrating live on Instagram and Twitter and all that. She had a live going on where she was celebrating CPS taking 7 of her black children. She's 28 years old and she was calling them all types of names. A black mother. This is a sister. And it broke my heart the name she was calling these children. Like, just go get. I'm glad CPS got them, and there's pictures of her children in the background. And if Black Lives Matter, everyone would have rallied behind this and say, yo, any people like this we need to fix in our communities. Okay, they shouldn't have took the children away. She was supposed to be taken away, but yet she knows she can do this without any consequence. They know that the government will allow her to stay free to have even more children to do this to. Because why? That actually fall in line with Black Lives Matter's agenda against children. This was woman that was radicalized, who was probably abused herself. As an example, if Black Lives Matter, we'll be talking about restoring the power back to black men. Because a nation starts with a man first to protect the children. It wouldn't be aligned with black women all over the place. A matter of fact, you wouldn't see too many black women saying anything if Black Lives Matter, outside of what they will be saying and standing up with and behind their man. Okay? I wanted to put that out there to bring it all. These are witches and warlocks right there in plain sight, folks. And they're telling you there's Black Lives Matter, but we're so broken as a people. We can't see what they've always been telling us. That it's talking about the black forces, Satan's ministers against us. That's what Black Lives Matter is. It's a satanic dark priesthood. And not only that, if you were to talk to them one-on-one about it, they'll tell you that. Oh yeah, and by the way, if we march for black people too. But all of this satanic agendas we have here is what we're really about. Okay, we just couldn't do it unless we use the black fuel that comes with you believing we're for you, when you're nothing but fuel for our satanic car, our satanic vehicle to drive to run all over you, and eventually get those children. But go ahead, Gaja.
Elder, my God, that's right on. But yo, Elder, where is the black church? Where is the black church in all of this? All right, hold up, stop. Let me not even go there. Where are the apologists in all of this? The so-called defenders of the faith. Where are they in this destruction and hell that's been let loose on the people? So you mean
So you mean to tell me that the apologetics didn't say anything on the satanic agendas of Black Lives Matter and the destruction of children and children being aborted? They didn't go into any of that?
We have not heard a pin. We have not heard anything from anybody saying anything about it. You with me? As a matter of fact, Elder, if you hadn't brought out the agenda and what they believe in, I don't think anybody would have seen it. You understand? So this is you know, we have to look and ask, what is the real agenda of some of these people?
Well, hey, I guess it's the irony of a lesson we did a few weeks ago. The fall of the black church. The black church is finished. It's done. It's done. And you know what? It's well overdue. It's well overdue. Black, you know who's the black church now? Black Lives Matter. Because they have greater influence and pull politically and otherwise and religiously over the next generation, more so than the black Christian church. The black Christian church, I mean, is right now the black church is Black Lives Matter, unfortunately. But go on. Go ahead. You can get the last word before I pull up some of these calls in.
The Most High says, I create the light, I create the darkness, I create evil. And if it's one thing that I am grateful for, in the midst of all of this chaos and madness with COVID-19 and everything. Normally, things would happen in parts, and you would see it in part. But we're at a level right now where, listen, everybody can see this, at least those with eyes. Those with eyes let them see, those with ears let them hear, because it's outright in the. I saw an article saying that black people, blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics are disproportionately affected by this COVID-19. It's clear as day who the agenda is against. Okay,
and I'm what?
Grateful for that. That listen, at least right now, you have given me so much preaching street material right now to go out and just highlight. You with me? Without doing much work, because normally I was a conspiracy theorist, but no, it's in the open. It's here. You can see it. And the thing about it is that if you choose to ignore this, right, you are actually part of the problem. You are one of them. When you watch the movie The Matrix, you still plugged into the system.
Listen, Gotcha, I'm still surprised to why we didn't hear the narrative yet from anyone out there, even through mainstream. Usually someone slips through to say outright how they are actually moving this COVID thing publicly through media is racist. How at the end of this, when you claim that black people are disproportionately the cases and all that, how they're not just showing you that, outright saying that this is a political racist attack against a particular group. Just imagine if we all came out and said, remember when everyone's saying that AIDS was a gay disease? And how they all stood up and like, how can you say that? Everyone had to push back because they didn't want that negative stigma on them. I'm surprised that there's no one on our side looking at this and saying, well, hold up. Why are we readily accepting them putting this term of COVID-19 that started from Wuhan, China, on black people in remote cities where we're concentrated and in Africa? How did it end up to us? How is this not a political campaign against us? Not, you understand? This don't have nothing to do with a cold or a flu or disease. Okay, I'm surprised I'm not hearing more of that though. I'm surprised. You would have thought at least someone that's politically savvy. You would have thought someone would look at this and say, what's the worst that can happen if one people are deemed a virus? I would expect one person to stand up and ask that question. Because immediately when Trump said that this was a Chinese disease, there was the Chinese lobby all came out in solidarity to kill that rhetoric. They all came out and said, oh, you can't call this a Chinese disease. We're losing our jobs. They had a hotline to protect Chinese people and everything. You're not going to put that on us. But we would readily accept that stigma, not realizing the implications of it. If we begin to own this as a black disease, that means you'll be the first ones tested. Your children will be the first ones ripped out of your homes and vaccinated. You'll be killed killed right out. And they can single you out because you are a particular race under these cases. And I'm surprised not one person had a critical view to bring that out publicly, even on the news. Usually you have one person to say, well, hold up. It's come to find out that this wasn't exactly. I would expect one person to say, hold up, it's not a cold. This is a political racist agenda against a particular segment of our population. And hopefully that I'm putting it out there so that someone probably can hear it and carry it over. Hey, Angela Stanton, if you hear it, bring it.
No, it's true. It's true. No one has said that. And if you turning a people into a virus, you're turning them into a threat. This is the new terrorism. We're not hearing more. We haven't heard nothing about Al Qaeda, ISIS. yo, like they disappeared. What the hell? Where did they go?
Right.
No, the new terrorism now, or the new virus is the chosen people of God, the children of Israel. Blacks, Native Indians, Hispanic, so-called Native Americans. This is your target. And if if anybody can say that this is an agenda, you're part of the problem. You've been bought. Either you're too stupid to see it, or you've been paid off. One of the two.
Right on. Well, we're gonna take 15 minutes of calls. Stay with us, because I can't just deny these people no calls tonight, Elder. So stick with me.
I'm on mute, okay?
No, you can stay on.
Okay.
You can stay on. Okay, Ramar.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can bring in the calls. Line them up.
All right, 901. What's your name and where you calling from?
And not only that, right now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hold on, before you go there.
I'm here.
Right now in Texas, it's hotter. It's hotter than.
Hello.
It's hotter than chicken grease in Texas right now.
Right.
And they done convince people of more cases in Texas. I'm like, what?
Right.
I mean, keep in mind, they are actually they're actually ignoring science 101 when it comes to a virus. No virus can live past 80 degrees, and it's hotter than chicken grease in Texas and Arizona right now. Are you kidding me? They're trying to slowly oppress our people in these concentrated areas.
Right.
This is racist, what they're doing with this campaign. But go ahead, brother. Your live floor is yours.
Yeah, hello.
The floor is yours.
Hello.
Brother, can you hear me?
No, I can barely hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
The floor is yours.
Okay. This is Samson. Shalom, my brothers.
Bless you, brother.
Praise be to the Most High. I was going to ask you, even Miss Angela was saying something about that these kids can change their gender on their birth certificate, right?
Go on.
Well, I was looking at the fact of, I mean, we had rights to sit in on all these laws that were passed, right, Brother Rawchaa? You know, laws in Congress, when they're passing them, don't we have a right to be there?
Bring out your full point, brother, and then I'll answer afterwards.
Okay, well, the laws that are passed, you know about all the FEMA camps, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and all the stuff they got, the guillotines and all that crap, all that was passed by Obama. And I was just wondering, how did we miss out on that? It seemed like our people, bro, they only are considered in, you know, the main election and the midterm, right? I mean, that's the way I've been seeing it. So my thing is about the laws being passed is that how could we allow this? You know, and I could only say, yeah, we wasn't there, like Miss Angela said. But like you said, you didn't know about that law about the kids. I didn't either. So that's my point, is that basically I'm trying to make it to try to understand, even now with what's going on and the cabal and like you said, all this going on, they probably wouldn't even allow us to come in there, you know, to protest of a law we didn't like. I mean, I'm just saying, do you think that?
Well, brother, you have to realize that even when they're bringing forth certain bills and legislation, they have opponents and those that oppose their bills. But at the end of the day, if they get enough votes to count it in, and what happened was for the last 10, 15 years, especially under Obama, you have to look at how many of the alphabet people gained political positions that would actually sway a vote on the floor. So if they're the representatives now, it doesn't matter if you came in and say, well, you disagree with it, because it's their vote. And if you got them now being placed in positions of power, they're going to vote to push forth the legislation that would progress their agendas. So yes, I'm sure someone on the floor opposed that, because usually when you look at these things on C-SPAN, it shows you the numbers of those who said no to a particular bill, but the bill still passed. So it's about, it doesn't matter from our standpoint, because this political system is rigged anyway. So you can cry foul all you want. The devil has a system that requires child sacrifice, and it's upon us to realize under this system what system we were born into, and how to protect our children from it. That's really what it comes down to. Not standing on a Senate floor or with city council saying, I disagree. And you sitting there, the whole room is filled with Satanists.
I see. I was just questioning.
I'm with you.
Because I mean, at the time now.
Well, brother, we have to go to the next call.
All we got is the Most High.
Well, I'm with you. We have to go to the next call, though, brother. Thank you.
All
right. Thank you. But I understand. He's saying, well, a lot of these things are voted on the floor. Why didn't we come in, and why couldn't people come in and push through? Let me tell you, man, our people aren't in a position right now. We're so destitute. We're not thinking about what type of bill is being passed on the floor when we don't even know how our cell phone bill is going to get paid, or whether or not we can put food on the table. Our people are distracted with, trivial things like poverty. All right. And that's just the truth.
And as you mentioned, even those that are in the political realm, you'll have situations where bills are passed. It'll be like a vacation, over Christmas vacation or something like that. You have a bill passed, and those who are in the loop, in the political system, like, hold up, we weren't here. It was a vacation, and all of a sudden we come back and this bill is passed. So
exactly,
there's certain things that they want to pass. They're gonna make sure it comes through.
They'll wait till everyone. How many bills are passed right up under our nose during Christmas break and New Year's break? And you'd be like, what was this? Well, it was passed during Christmas, or when everyone was out there celebrating. And I'm gonna tell you, there's no one more politically galvanized right now than the letter group. Because since they don't have the numbers, they have to use their power to get in position where they don't need too many numbers. Political positions. Okay? All right, let's get the next call.
(501) area code. Your name, where you're calling from. 501, you're live.
Let's get the next call.
315, your name and where you calling from.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
I just want to say I really enjoyed tonight's lesson. Like, it was really, really, really profound. I do have a question that I want to ask, and it's not mostly on the topic of tonight's broadcast, but it has been a question that I just really wanted to just get clarification on. So I'm well aware of, the true name of the Most High, which is Ahia, and his son Yeshaya. But I just have a question, maybe for someone out there who might want to be clarified on it also. But in Revelations, it talks about him having a new name. Now, if I'm not mistaken, from what I heard before, and from what I've seen, I know that Christ, they said he'll have a name and it'll be like King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I just want some understanding. Is Ahia's name going to change? Or is Christ's name going to change? Because I know that Ahia's name is Ahia Shah Ahia, and that's going to stay. I just want to be clarified on that.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, it's going to help you to be able to resolve a lot of these scenarios on your own, right? How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, all right. And Christ says you must believe on him as the scripture have said, right?
Right.
Okay. So, it tells us in the Bible that Christ is going to have a new name in the book of Revelation. that no man knows, that he will return back as a victor, because no longer will he have to be the savior after saving us. So he's going to come back with a new name to rule the kingdom. So we all know that Christ gives us that name upon his return, right?
Right.
Now, how do you know that's true? Because you read that out of the Bible, correct?
Correct.
You've never read out of the Bible where the Most High said he would give us another name, have you?
No, I have not.
There's your answer.
Okay. And I knew that. I just wanted to just get a clarification from you. Like, I wanted to hear it from your mouth, because I knew that. Like, I know that the Most High God is not, his name's not going to change. I knew that Yeshua's name was Savior.
But that ain't the point I'm making. The point I'm making, only draw conclusions from what you've read. Because at any time, I could have, just by talking to you, convinced you of something outside of the word. I could have just told you. No, listen to me. I could have. Because you've opened yourself to a question, to receive an answer from something you've never read before, about something you've never read yourself. You understand?
I understand. Yeah, I understand now.
That's the point I wanted to make. See, and that's why it says, "Cursed is the man that trusteth in man and maketh strength his arm." You were able to tell me that Christ would bring a new name because you've read it. Good. That means you're trusting on what Christ said. And if you haven't read where the Father said he would have a new name, that means he will not have a new name, because I am encompasses his whole existence. He always existed. Got it?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Elder Rawchaa. And Shalom. Hello, Elder Lawya. All praises. And I'm glad for my shepherds. And I can't wait for the academy. Y'all have a blessed night. And thank you for tonight's broadcast.
Exactly. Now, yeah, of course. Thank you, sister. And she's articulate. She's smart. And I like the way she thinks. But still, don't ever try to go into areas that cannot be validated through scripture. And it tell you in Exodus 3, this is my name forever. The answer was there. All right, next call. Oh yeah, I wanted to put out there real quick before the next call come in. When it comes to the second tithes and offerings that you see on your screen, which says $ gathering 144 GOCC, that's just for church members who didn't have a place to gather. And that's a paid alternative. That's an alternative for church members who are having issues not gathering in respective areas during the 3-month COVID thing, okay? That's strictly for them. But we do have alternatives for payment outside of that. So if you don't have Cash App, don't worry about that. Or if you want to use another source, just go to gatheringofchrist.org and look under donate. And you can do it that way if you are a church member also. So don't think that this Cash App is the only way. We would really prefer you as church members use the old sources you were using through gatheringofchrist.org. Okay. But if you don't have that, this is your last option. That's the final option, not the first one. Okay. I wanted to say the first one at the top, $ GOCC 144 donate, goes towards the broadcast specifically. That's whether you are in the church or a part of an extended family who didn't get a chance to gather with us first. That's your donation to the work that we do before you each week, strictly through the streaming broadcast here. Okay, just wanted to put that out there. But usually the bottom one is strictly for church members already, a part of a congregation who's looking for an option to pay tithes and offerings, not being able to gather in a respective area. Okay? All right. Ramar, the next call.
618. Your name and where you calling from.
Someone asked, do the church accept back pay? I never read that scripture either. Whatever you want to call that, okay? Whatever you want to give to help the work, we're going to use it for the work. You can call it whatever you want. Back pay, front pay, sideways pay. I don't know anything about any of that. Okay. All right, go ahead. What's the next call?
Let's go to the 405. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah.
405. All right. Let's go.
He's there.
Right.
You hear me?
All right. Yeah, you're live.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, how you doing, Elder? Oh, wow.
Blessed by the Most
I just
High.
want to bring out, last week, I took a few days off work. And when I went back to work that Thursday, I noticed people in like blue, green, yellow, orange shirts or whatever, rainbow colored shirts. And it wasn't a big deal, but because we wear uniforms to work, it's a big deal. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I didn't say anything. I just waited till my next break. And I seen a sign posted on the door, and it said, wear your rainbow color shirts to support the alphabet people. Wow. And I'm like, what the hell? Now, mind you, I work for a transportation company. We deliver like truck parts. So I've been there going on 10 years, so it ain't got nothing to do with they never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
So that was my first surprise.
Okay.
And
you had a surprise after that?
Say again?
I said there was. Let's stick with the first surprise. Did you put on a shirt?
Oh no! I had just got back to work, and I noticed people that was wearing different color shirts, and I was wondering why they was wearing these different color shirts.
Okay. Hey, listen.
And so,
as far as I'm concerned, that's wilderness paper. Okay. Because
I just thought it to be weird that we would be supporting something like that, but it just goes back to your point to, what this world is coming to.
I'll tell you what, the best thing to do is, you should have took it. You didn't have to put it on. Cut it into squares and get ready for the wilderness with it.
Well, this is something that they wore on their own. We wear uniforms to work. We wear. Don't waste. My shirt is blue and my pants is blue. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste. This is something that they decided to do on their own, as far as coming to work dressing in rainbow bright colors. You know what I mean?
Don't
waste. But I just thought it was funny. I thought it was weird that we would even do something like that. And my other point was that the very next day we had a meeting, and I'm at this meeting that they show on the video, and then the video is just some transportation stuff or whatnot. But when the video went off, you know how you turn the computer off and you have stuff come in on the search engine?
Yeah.
Well, on the search engine, it showed what did it say? It said quarantine homework, study of Hebrew Israelites. Now we wasn't supposed to see that. You know what I'm saying? He was clicking out of the video at the time, and that just happened to pop up on the search engine.
Okay. Brother, you're running. You got some stuff we need to highlight. Okay, because you're running. I'm gonna let you roll. So it said what about Israelites?
It said quarantine homework, study of Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, now whose computer that was on?
This is on the manager's computer.
On what?
Like I said, we was in
on what manager's computer? At your job?
At my job, yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Not that it matters, but it does. Your manager, is he black or white?
Oh, he's white.
Oh,
all my managers are white.
Whoa,
all my supervisors are white.
Whoa, hold up now. In the midst of COVID, you have a white manager over your job who has nothing to do with anything. And on his computer, it says what?
It says quarantine homework, the study of Hebrew Israelites.
So their job, the employer's job, is to study Hebrew Israelites. What would that have to do with the employment?
Nothing. That's my whole point. Nothing. Now get this. The manager's there, right? The supervisors.
We told you. But
right?
go on.
Since COVID happened, they every week one supervisor would be off. Like 1 week, my supervisor is off. The next week, another supervisor is off. The next week, the PDC manager is off. Vice versa. So basically, what I got out of this was that during their time off for that week, their homework is to study the Hebrew Israelites. Now I'm saying this because
brother, wrap it up though. Wrap it up because you about to go into
I'm saying this because I mean, if when I first came into this truth, I want to tell everybody, I want everybody to know, blah blah blah. And if you out here on these jobs and you talking to people, you just got to be careful about who you saying things to because they are watching.
Okay,
they are watching.
Brother, I'm glad you dropped that because we told people a long time ago. Put them on pause real quick, and I don't want to make this a lesson within itself. But folks, they not worried about no Christian pastors. They only had pastors as proxy so that they can siphon the finances and suck the spiritual resources out of the community. They know these pastors, the majority of them. And there are some smart ones and articulate ones who don't toe the company line, but they're far in between. Really, they want the pastors in our communities to know as little as possible. So that was never a threat to them. But the Hebrew Israelites have rocked every boat known to man. Okay, the boat has tilted over because there's no coming back. There's no way they can really co-op it. They can't see no way into it like they would do through the Black Panthers or through Nation of Islam, which started by Fard Muhammad, a white guy that they claim was Middle Eastern. They don't see no way in which they can co-op it or control it. So here it is, a manager over some random company is studying what to do about Hebrew Israelites. Why? This is why, folks, and this is what I told y'all years ago about social media. Okay? Don't forget, I worked in the corporate world years ago before the Most High said, just leave and go do what you got to do. I'll take care of you. And I stepped out of a job in total faith and never looked back. But one thing about being a manager in the corporations is you have staying power by actually having access to as much information you have on your team or those you are employed by as possible. The more power you have, the more staying power you have. And what was going on during that time, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I had a team of 15 or 20 or 30 people under me as I was managing things, I had to know their background. You would have caliber tests for them to actually be hired into the corporation. So I know how big social media has become. If a manager is over a team, it's upon him to make sure he goes into all social media to make sure one of their employees isn't compromising the company, as they claim, ethnically, or what you would call the ethics side of things, to make sure it's not compromising the company's brand of ethics. So if you get hired, know that the first thing they're going to do, or later they'll study where you've been going on Facebook and all that. The corporations, they must do this to make sure because they need an excuse to fire you anyway and not be held liable. If they find out you are attached to a group or you're doing this or you're doing that, by default, they can let you go without liability, without pushback from human resources. I'm just putting that out there for you. Watch what you do online. Okay? It's ethics, excuse me. What's the next call?
504. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah.
Mayaka, New Orleans.
Talk to us.
Oh, Shalom. Hey, family. Hey, I just been even more encouraged ever since I've seen all of this going on. This is what slaves being set free looks like. No longer slaves. And as far as that social media, yeah, you gotta really have to on the web, you really have to walk wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. I can speak for myself. If any of my employees will ever go and check up all my history, everything, they can't find any guile. But hey, even with that, they killed Christ. But I'm just saying, Israel, we got to get serious. We got to understand what times we're up against. And when, like all these lessons and everything with GOCC is good. Understand it won't last. But really got to get serious with those scriptures and walking like Christ. Follow after Christ. Angels with you everywhere you go. And that's all I want to say. Be encouraged, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. And yeah, it can no longer be hid. At first, they try to dismiss it. Oh, they're some small, crazy guys. They're a cult. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people like, well, I don't know if they're a cult, but I know what they're saying is, some of what they're saying is true. Mm-hmm. And then people started ignoring it altogether and be like, well, okay, let me go on with my life. And then it would still go back to, oh, yeah, you can't, they're racist. Like, well, I don't know. They may be racist, but a lot of what they're saying could be true. Mm-hmm. And then you come back and say, well, then they come back and you walking down the street and someone say, well, you look online, someone say the 12 lost tribes found, and you found an information that you never knew existed in the Bible concerning your true ethnicity according to the Bible. And you're looking at it and saying, man, the curses of the Bible, it sure seemed like that's our people and what's going on in our community. It sure seemed like what we're going through. And I don't see no other race of people, including Jewish people, going through what we've been through as a people. It must be something to this Hebrew Israelite thing. And they be like, well, hold up now. Hey, you know what? That might be true, but they're racist. It's something about this magic wand of races that they can wave the racist magic wand and everything magically disappears. Right. They're racist though. But then they'd be like, well, hold up. We found a church who teach the truth of being Israelites. And they accept all people. That they love all other people. They treat other people like Christ would treat them. And they're not racist towards others. And then they'll look at that and be like, well, that's a greater problem there. Because we can't call them racist. And I've seen some guys study us, and they would say, and they made this statement. Yeah, I believe that the Gathering of Christ Church is the most dangerous of them all. And I'm like, what? We care about others. We teach all people. We're not racist. How can someone make a bold-faced, evil, lying statement like they're more dangerous than them all if it isn't Satan himself saying that? What makes us dangerous? That, oh, you can't use the race card. You can't trigger our people with that magic racist wand. And, you know, I never thought I would live to see the day in which, especially being on those corners sometimes and, you know, early 90s and all that on the streets, I never thought I'd live the day where the top so-called scholars and theologians would be strictly, and Jesuits themselves, would be strictly focused on tearing down what they call Israelite Hebrewism. They just called it a name. I'm glad they got a name for it now. Tell me the Most High isn't bad. They try to dismiss us, but our people started looking at it. And then let me tell you, I don't think anything did more for the truth of the Most High than COVID-19, than coronavirus. Mm-hmm. If anyone was on the fence before this happened, they came all the way over. Because this is what we've been talking about for years, and no one can claim it's a conspiracy. Huh? Back then when we were saying it, oh, it's a conspiracy. This thing gonna go on forever like it is. Anyone that was on the fence, I'm getting calls from people that been listening to us since we first was on the streets, before YouTube became big, saying, well, listen, how do I come in now? So that's why you sitting there, that guy with the McDowell The McDowell book. He's looking at it. And McDonald's or McDowell. He's sitting there. You open up his computer. No. It's not Joel Osteen. It's Israelites. It's not T.D. Jakes. It's not Kenneth Copeland. The Most High said he would do this. In the same place where it said, ye are not my people, Elder Lawya, there it shall be said, ye are the sons of the living God. Right. You can't stop this because you didn't start it. Our God did. We're the children of Israel, and we're back. Right. Next call, Ramar.
813, your name and where you calling from?
Shalom, elders. This is Florian from Tampa. Yeah, I just wanted to point out a major threat, a major potential threat against the children of Israel. I'm talking about these child psychologists that's in these schools.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's something that the parents gotta really figure out a way to protect their kids from. Because before COVID, they was used to diagnose so-called mental disorders. To put them on meds, right? They could probably use them another way to get them with this child sacrificing things. So it was just something to point out. These child psychologists in these schools probably be something that you could touch on real quick, Elder.
Well, brother, I'm glad you brought that up, because why? They can only agree to a psychological evaluation if the parents fall victim to their psychology. Well, it seems like your child needs some special needs. Well, who's you? I'm a psychologist. I don't believe in that. Okay, first of all, I don't believe in that. And who agreed for you to psychoanalyze my child? See, y'all got to go in there with some authority. These people are not the authority. Keep in mind, you're working, you're behind off to take care of your child. It's your tax money in that district that's paying for that witch or warlock who claims to be an authority in your school. Not the other way around. So you have to set the record straight on what will not be. What would be forbidden? Where's the boundaries for my child when I bring them into school? The other races of people do this. They set boundaries. My child don't do it this. She's allergic to this and don't do this. And we have to become more responsible as a parents and just not drop a child off in an institution and trust that they'll have our children's best interest at heart. You have to set the boundaries. There's no psychologist. We don't believe in that. Okay? We don't believe in that. Okay? I'm a religious traditionalist. I don't believe in psychology. I don't believe in psychiatry. And immediately they'll write that down and they won't even deal with you on that.
Okay.
Okay, because what?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. No. I don't deal with psychiatry, and I don't deal with psychology. It's witchcraft. You don't got to tell them it's witchcraft, but no psychological evaluations of my child. My child is here to read and write, and that's it. There's no paganism, no celebrating these holidays, no psychology, no psychiatry, and no alternative lifestyles or LBGT. None of that. If you're willing to teach my child anything outside of that, I'm open for. Anything outside of that, I'm suing you. There it is. Thank you, brother.
All right, thank you, Elvis.
All right. And that's one of the greatest rackets on earth, to get children on drugs early. Oh, yeah, I think your son have ADHD. I think your son or your daughter have a learning disorder. And guess what? It's the satanic liberals coming in your community who have set up all these programs to actually get paid off of the ills they create within our communities. That's one of the greatest rackets that they're using with this child psychology thing. Your children shouldn't be on no medication in these places. If they, and not to say that children aren't dealing with mental issues based on the dysfunction they're growing up with, but medicine is never the answer. It's finding out the people, the adults who've abused them, who have hurt them. Okay, that's a whole nother discussion in itself. I only got 4 more minutes before concluding. And I thank you all for your support. And again, Hebrew and Bible Academy, July 5th, we're going into what? You got it, the creation of the universe. And folks, we're going to break down Leviathan and Behemoth. The 2 creatures made out of the deep. Where are they? How do they operate? And what will happen to them at the very end? They were created in the deep for a specific purpose. Will the world see Behemoth and Leviathan? 2 creatures made out of the deep. And we're going to go into illustrating, according to the Bible, the heavenly floor. The throne of the Almighty. We're going to break that down. And on top of that, how everything we see was created this Sunday in the Hebrew and Bible Academy. You don't want to miss it. Next call. 2 more calls, and then we wish you all Godspeed.
513, your name and where you're calling from.
Come on.
Hello.
513.
Oh, yes. Alondra, Cherie. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just calling to let you know that the show tonight really awakened me once more again and allowed me to humble myself. And I would like to say thanks to the Most High for having you elders be here for us. Universal through the internet is very good. It's very good to all the people to be awakened and to to get an understanding of the Most High and what His kingdom will come to here at the end, and we're gonna win.
Hey,
so all praise to the Most High.
Hey, sister, it's deep because you found us online, right?
Yes, sir.
Sister, do you know that in the Bible, when you break it down in the Greek, and we're going to be going into it this Sunday, that it was prophesied streaming and us disrupting the stream with the truth was actually prophesied within the Greek text. That we would come on the stream of knowledge that Satan would use to deceive the earth, that he would put us on the same stream to disrupt everything, to swallow up the lie that was given, that deceived the world. It's actually, when you look at the words, it's streaming, it's torrent, it's metadata. We're going to be going into that this coming Sunday, folks. That even this internet, because what happened was Satan created an artificial world with the internet, but it had the same components of how a regular world works. You would build a construct through a motherboard. You would communicate with other people. The motherboard is like the earth. And then you would have streams going through like you would have water.
Yes.
But then,
yes,
but Satan would use it to actually speed up and progress his agenda because he know we have a short time, so he needed a mechanism to get to a lot of people in a short time. But then the Most High would have us get up on that stream and disrupt everything. It's actually in the Bible that we would disrupt their stream, because you didn't come on the internet.
Absolutely.
Listen. Because you didn't come on the internet, sister, to be before us. You were on the internet for something else. And look where we are. What? 11:30 at night. Talking about the Most High on their stream. We're going into that. The whole construct. Even a virus coming in and disrupting something. And guess what? On your computer. When you get a virus, listen, when you get a virus program to isolate a Trojan, what must that virus program do to that virus? so the computer can run normally. Quarantine it.
Oh, interesting.
Because everything is messing up their program the same way with a regular computer. So what you do when you get, I know because I build computers, I used to build them, you get a virus protection program to quarantine the virus so that the machine can run like it was meant to run. The whole set, we don't worry about it. I dropped a little bit, but we're going into it Sunday.
Yes,
hey, folks, let me tell you, folks. Hey, folks, I'm gonna tell you about that academy, folks. I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna say nothing else right now. So you wouldn't have found a sister unless you was on the stream, unless you were on the internet. Corrupt their program. So now they're looking to do what to the virus? Quarantine it. Stay in your home. Come on, let's go.
Wow.
Hey, let's go. I'm not gonna put nothing else out. Your Rock sitting there salivating because we going in this Sunday. But go ahead. You have the last word, and then I know God, you're tripping on that, but let's go, sister.
Hello, you still there?
Yeah, you have the last word.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, and thank you so much for that information, and I will continue to follow you all. And also, I would like for some elders to reach out to me in Monroe, Ohio, please, because I have some concerns, and I would like to get baptized. And I also, as well, I know that I have been making donations to your all's organization, and my payments have been blocked. So please keep me in mind on this phone number. Take it down to have some elders reach out to me in Monroe, Ohio.
All right.
Thanks. All praise to the Most High. Shalom.
Hold up. Don't go anywhere yet. Let me write down your number. Let me have your name. Here it is.
Yes, sir.
Let me have your name. We have your number.
Alondra, Alondra. Yeah. 513-307-92.
Oh, no, don't put out your number. We see your number.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
My bad.
I know you're excited, but
yes, sir. But it's Alondra Cherie Johnson.
Okay, we'll reach out to you.
Monroe, Ohio.
All right.
All right, thank you so much. You all have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you. All right, let's take one more again. We just went under 2,000. It's time to go anyway. So let's take another call, Elder Rawchaa.
478. Your name.
You got something else, huh? Yeah. Come on. And ain't it crazy? Oh, put it on hold. Ain't it deep? You got Bill Gates, who's behind what used to be IBM that became Microsoft, where he would set up a platform along with the satellites that would originally, through the computer, find all people. And he would set up a grid for that. And he would set up programs where it can only operate if a virus didn't come in to infect it, right? But Microsoft would actually create their own viruses so that they can get paid, so that they can actually get paid. He was sued for that. Creating viruses from a separate company so that now you have to buy his antidote to fix your computers.
Right.
And now he's the guy now with the program to spread a virus to come with the antidote as a vaccine. I don't know, people forgot about that. It was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, where companies were suing because they come to find out this guy was making, allegedly, he was making little pocket companies that were actually sending in viruses to disrupt the program so that he can get paid hands over fist. Because he was getting enough just with the computers, but now I can get money to resolve the viruses in the computers. So really, that was a beta test in itself for what they're doing now. Ain't it crazy? The same guy. But, all right, the son of Satan. Let's get that one call in real quick.
Yes, 478. You're live.
Yeah.
Yes, my name is Joshua Hodges. I'm calling from Macon, Georgia.
Hey, Joshua.
Hi, how you doing, Elder?
I'm blessed by the best. You know what? I'm going to have me a good, relaxed night. I was able to talk tonight, sit there with my brethren, conversate, bring out as much knowledge as possible. Sometimes, I mean, we going to have an after dark lesson. We have to have something. What's going on? Hey, time must be running out because, you know, I mean, we go on forever with these broadcasts now. The Most High must want us just to empty the clip on y'all or something. Just let it all out there because soon they're going to wrap it up because obviously we're the virus. But go yeah, you got Lawya. You know they're looking at Lawya. Oh my God, we got a virus with a Mitri on. God's chosen people.
But yes, I had a question for you.
For 2 weeks. Staying for 2 weeks. Yeah. Come on.
Yes. Yes. If I recollect correctly, you did a video once, and you were breaking down. There's gonna come a point in time where we're gonna have to be as pilgrims upon the earth, and that Christ knows that there are loved ones and family members and friends that we're gonna have to leave behind for his sake, for Christ, and we're going to do it for the love of Christ. And he said that he was going to bless us specifically for that.
Yep.
So I was really just trying to find scripture concerning, you know, the statement you made in regards to that.
Remember Lot's wife, right? And when you look at Second Ezra 16 tell you about be as pilgrims in that day. You got that? And when you go into the book of Joel, it tells you eventually that we have to flee from Babylon, and we're going to be in a place without a town without walls. You got that?
Yes, sir.
So those are the scriptures. I mean, of course, I got about 1 billion of them out there. But what do you ask?
Yes, but it was.
What do you ask
scripture
for in
specifically concerning that Christ said that he was gonna bless us for that, because he knows that's not gonna be easy for us to leave behind like relatives, and you know, you got your mom and your grandma who might not be in the truth. And yes, sir, and he knows he's gonna bless us because we're gonna choose to follow him and choose to have faith in him concerning his word and what he commanded us to do when it's that time to be his pilgrims upon the earth. And because we chose to be obedient to our Savior, he's going to bless us for that, because he knows that's not going to be easy for us to.
Well, brother, I don't know. I think you're intertwining a lot of precepts together. I don't know if it was in that context. The one you're talking about is think not that I've come to send peace on earth, but a sword. Let's get that real quick. Let's get it.
I have another one as well.
Yeah.
Matthew.
So it was a combination of scriptures, right? When you go into, read that first, Elder Lawya.
Matthew chapter 10, verse 34.
Read.
Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
He says he not come to send peace on earth, but a sword. Right? Why? What's that sword? That sword is severing the righteous from the wicked. And that includes households. Read.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foe shall be they of his own household.
And a man's foe shall be they of his own households. Now, he's not coming and stirring up no trouble in your house. What's happening is you have a person in the house who learned the truth of Christ and the true doctrine. And through that, the family have become enemies, because now you don't come to the Christmas dinners anymore. The child they grew up celebrating pagan holy days with no longer exists. So now you become an enemy of the family. See? So now because of that, let me read this. It says in Mark the 3rd chapter, it says, Mark 3:33, it says, And he answered them, saying, Who is my mother or my brethren? And he looked around about them which sat about him, and he said, Behold, my mother and my brethren, the people who are in the work with him. For whosoever shall do the will of the Most High, the same is my brother and my sister and my mother. So if I have to make a choice between Christ and my brother or sister or my mother, I choose Christ. So that's all that means.
All right. Thank you, Elder. And I also wanted to thank Elder Lawya very, very briefly, because he did a video, a YouTube video a while back ago, and he broke down Leviathan and Behemoth, and I really enjoyed how he broke down how their strength is a testament of the Most High's glory. So I just want to tell Elder Lawya thank you for that, and I just want to thank you too, Elder Rawchaa. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for persevering and standing in standing in this word in the last days. Because, brother, you have to realize this is a labor of love, but it's also a sacrifice for brothers like you. Keep in mind, we're laboring so that you can stand and receive the promises of our fathers. So, brother, for you, with you standing, we must thank you, brother. Just endure. Don't faint. That's the greatest thanks.
Yes,
what
sir.
I tell brothers when they say thank you, I say, listen, you know what the greatest thank you is? To finish.
What's that?
To finish.
Fine.
Finish with us. Finish with us. Okay. Last call. I can do this all night, but obviously I got to get ready. I have a lot, I'm sorry I wasn't able to take a lot of calls, but I appreciate you all. One last call. Let's go. I said last call, 30 minutes ago? For real now.
703, your name and where you're calling from. you're live.
Shimon, come on now. Someone say 2 more hours. I don't know about that. I'm digressing. All right, next call.
Go to 228. You're live.
You're live.
Shalom.
Shalom. Aren't you blessed? Aren't you? I would say lucky, but no, the thing is luck. But go on.
Right. How are you all tonight?
We're blessed by the Almighty. How are you?
Oh, hallelujah. I'm blessed as well. I wanted to thank you also. It's wonderful to hear strong men like you all speaking the truth in these trying times.
Did we wake you up? Did we wake you up?
No, sir.
Okay, put some pep up in it. You the last call. You got to bring some fire. Come on now.
Fire. All right. Well, I really just wanted to ask you. I have a lot on my mind, but I wanted to ask you specifically, what do you think the Valley of Jehoshaphat looks like?
What does it look like?
Yeah, not literally, but when it speaks about it in Joel, the Most High bringing the nations to the valley because they divided up their land and divided his children.
See, but what are you saying in specific when you ask, what does it look like? Because it looks like what's going on right. Because my answer to that is exactly what's going on right now.
Right.
What it looks like is the resources that the earth needs to continue with have been strategically placed in the same land God will actually judge the nations on. So automatically, when you look, the Valley of Jehoshaphat is not just the Middle East, but parts of Africa also. So that's the last battle. The last war will be between Jacob and Esau in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. I mean, Ishmael is going to be there too, but he's going to be knocked down without hand. Okay, But the Valley of Jehoshaphat is the Middle Eastern war in which, at the very end, all the armies think they're there to actually protect their interest over in the Middle East. Like you have China, who it says he would put hooks in his jaws in the book of Ezekiel and bring Gog and Magog back into the war. That's China. So China just thought they can stay on the side and just get paid and no one recognize them. But in order for China to continue to thrive as a superpower, they need what? Middle Eastern and African resources. So the Most High pulled them into the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Not that they can use their armies to protect their financial interests, so that their armies can actually die in the last war upon the coming of our Lord and Savior. That's what it looks like. No war, no army, no kingdom. So by default, so by default, they have, even if they didn't want to sustain their empires, they must send armies over into the Middle East and resources over into the Middle East to protect their armies, to sustain their countries. The Most High made it that way on purpose. So that now that their armies are over there, exactly, they will be broken underfoot, and eventually those who are in those armies will be food for the birds. That's what it looks like. Sounds like a party to me. Thank you. All right. All right. All right. What a blessed night tonight, elders. Hey, I'm feeling good. You know what? I wonder why I had so much energy. I'm taking all these vitamins and this, that, and the other right before the broadcast. I got vitamined up. I'm sitting there. I'm like, why am I so energetic tonight in what's going on? And why am I not slowing down? I popped me some. I had some brain stuff. I got brain stuff. Brain force. Brain force. You can attack the globalists. I'm gonna tell you that stuff. That brain force that Alex Jones has actually worked. Took some of that, some Gencoba for the brain, because you have to be sharp and you have to make sure you get your brain food. Some vitamins. I had some B12 too. And I got some other stuff. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Hey man. Let me tell you, could we be living in a better time right now? All the prophets and the teachers back then have longed to see the moment we're all living in right now. Could it be a better time right now? So don't get discouraged, brothers and sisters. I know we're broken and the world try to make us dysfunctional, but Christ, I'm going to tell you, and I'm encouraged by this, Christ is fixing us. He's fixing us. He is fixing us, and I'm grateful. I am grateful. Okay? And to serve the Most High and to do this to the end this is our reasonable service. I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this, and that's why I don't care about the extra hours that we put in here and all that, because what else? Look at the nonsense we did in the world, wasting time. I don't even want to talk about growing up, in my 20s and all that, and during the school days and all that, and you leaving a club and you try to find an after. You try to find an after club, an after club. Look at the things we waste our times doing in this earth, and look what we do with our time now. Man, the Most High is wonderful. He's gracious, and He's merciful, and I thank Him. And the least I can do, like I told that brother, is to finish. It's going to be 10%. And then from that 10%, 1/3. And I'm going to pick this up this coming Sabbath, Elder Lawya. And what we're going to be talking about is the gathering out of all countries, the locations we're going to be in according to the word, and how the rebels will actually go against the righteous. Even after being saved from America, our people will have infighting. They're going to be those trying to fight us in the wilderness. Even after we help them get from here to there. I'm going to be talking about that this Sabbath. How we need to build that foundation and understand even after America, it isn't over. Israel is going to be Israel until Christ returns. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that this Sabbath. Man, I mean, through the Spirit of Christ, you have my humble thank you for all your support and all you do to keep this work going. I really thank you all. And if you think these broadcasts are anything, man, wait till we load. We're going to load, man, this coming Sunday. We're not going to leave anything on the floor. But it's going to be all laid out. It's going to be just done. Nothing will be left on the table. It'll be left on the floor with the creation of the universe. So, with that concludes our broadcast. Elder Rawchaa, you know I appreciate you and love you. Can't wait to hug you. Elder Gabar, I mean, you know we love you. Wherever you are. I know he's not too far. Am I rhyming? What's going on here? And and my partner in Christ, there's no crime going on, Elder Lawya, and Elder Rawchaa, you good? You good? Well, and yeah, you good?
Yes, sir, man. I'm blessed by the best. And you know his name.
And his name is Ahia.
The great I am that I am, man. Yeah. So peace and love to everybody out there until we speak again. May the Most High keep you. Shalom.
All right now. Shalom. And thank you, brothers and sisters, and may the Most High be with you. This Sabbath, the wilderness will be our lesson. The wilderness. Hold tight.
Goodbye.
I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Please give me the strength